This summer, Disney Plus brings you unbelievable entertainment for an unbelievable price. Return to the Star Wars galaxy in the epic original series Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm in.
Meet a new hero in Marvel Studios' original series Ms. Marvel.
What does it feel like?
Cosmic.
And look for clues in a new season of Only Murders in the Building.
We will not be going quietly.
Disney Plus. All these plus more now streaming for just $8.99 a month. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show, with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9, just about to turn 5 past 9 on this Friday, the 8th of July. I hope you're very well, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. Our Friday panel joining us very shortly. They're with us now. I'm going to introduce them in a moment, but I just want you involved in the conversation as well. The WhatsApp text line open for you right now, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or you can call 074 91 25,000. Okay, let's welcome our guests onto the programme. We'll say good morning first to Anya McGinley, Chief Central Executive Committee Representative for the primary school teachers in Donegal and Leitrim. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, Greg.
It's great. It's great to have you back. Susan Meehan, Fianna Fáil Ogre Campaigns and Events Director. Good morning, Susan.
Morning, Greg. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's great to have you back on, as it is Declan Meehan. Good morning to you, Declan.
Good morning, Greg.
I'm a little confused because someone's described you as an independent deputy on this sheet of paper in front of me, and I thought, has there been a development overnight that I missed? A lot's happening in politics at the moment, so nothing would surprise me at this stage. But no, still not an independent deputy or a deputy for any party at this point. Okay, right, just some news this morning. We knew about this yesterday morning. Sinn Féin is to table a motion of no confidence in the government next week. Party leader Mary Lou McDonald has confirmed the move this morning after a meeting of her TDs. The party's agricultural spokesperson, Matt Carthy, who we just heard from, says they will debate the motion during their private members' time in the Dáil next week. So I ask you, Declan, first, is it a waste of time, or perhaps they're hoping the pressure may come on independents and others in their constituencies to vote against this government? What's your read of it?
I think we're probably going to see a lot more of these motions of no confidence in the government being brought forward by the opposition. I guess it's good to remember that it is the job of the opposition to hold government to account. It is, I suppose, a prerogative of the opposition to be opportunistic about when they bring motions of no confidence. They've seen, obviously, that the government has officially lost its majority with Joe McHugh resigning the Fine Gael whip. And I don't see how this could be construed as a waste of time. I think that when we see other time being allocated to things such as the outer space treaties as opposed to make a redress scheme properly, I think that actually holding government to account through a motion of no confidence is absolutely not a waste of time. I think as well that, as I said, we'll see a lot more of these as we go into the autumn and winter once we return after the summer recess, because pressure will mount on the government as the cost of living crisis worsens, unfortunately.
Do you see it achieving anything? Do you think, if it's framed in the debate as almost like a referendum on the mic controversy, that pressure might come on the likes of Joe McHugh and others? I mean, I'm not picking on Joe, but obviously Joe's local here and he's been a part of the news cycle this last couple of weeks. Like, do you think that's how they'll try and frame it?
Yeah, I think absolutely that is how they'll frame it. They'll also frame it in a way that it puts pressure on the other rural independent TDs who the government feel that they can rely on to prop up their numbers. I think it should put pressure on Joe McHugh. I think it should put pressure on those independent rural TDs. Ultimately, not Joe McHugh because he's not running for re-election, but for the independent rural TDs who are weak, soft supporters of the government when it suits them, I think it should put them under pressure because they will have to face the electorate again and have to answer why they were supporting this government as things go on and cost of living crisis worsens.
Susan, your party leader says, effectively, bring it on. He welcomes this opportunity to prove the government's healthy working majority, albeit there's not an actual majority there.
Yeah, I think the view he's taken on it is it's an opportunity for us as a party and a government to highlight the work that's been done in the last 2 years and the the different policies that have been pushed forward and the way that the country has dealt with different issues in the past couple of months.
And do you think that record is good enough? It's worthy of surviving a no confidence vote?
Yeah, I do. I personally don't think that the motion will pass. But I mean, it leaves it open for debate. It leaves it open for questioning to see, as Declan has said, the more rural independents. I think a lot will lie with them and their opinions.
You'd be aware, of course, I think it's 29 backbench Fianna Fáilers met in the last couple of days. Some quite strong language was used at some of those meetings.
Yeah.
But, it's obviously off the back of, I think Dara O'Brien said these aren't rebels. They just, they just want to meet and maybe try and influence the direction of the party. But do you get a sense, do you think there is a bit of disquiet, to say the least, on the backbenches and amongst Fianna Fáil supporters like yourself on the ground, or are they satisfied with what Fianna Fáil is doing, how they're doing it, and how Micheál Martin is steering that ship?
Yeah, well, I think it was made very clear that it wasn't anything to do with Micheál Martin himself. I think it was more the direction of the party, and I think, as you said, there was a lot of strong language used. And I don't approve of that use of language, but I think
it wasn't too bad. It's how everyone speaks when they're not, when they can trust their friends not to leak it everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the point that was trying to be made was that we need to look at our party standalone, forget what everybody else is doing, and just look at the internal party structures. I think that was more the point of the meeting, to just analyse the direction of the party and where we see the party going.
Yeah, and also too, a lot of people weren't happy, or some of them weren't happy at that meeting, with how Fianna Fáil is on the receiving end of, Fine Gael, particularly in the Seanad, that, Fine Gael are trying to make gains off the back of their best friends in government, Fianna Fáil.
Yeah, I read that myself, and, part of me thought, that is politics. You can give as good as you get. There's nothing stopping the Fianna Fáil backbenchers or the Fianna Fáil senators giving as good as they get.
Okay, Anya, what do you think? Anya McGinley, I'll phrase the question again, I suppose, and then you can go wherever you want with it. Do you think Sinn Féin are right to table this motion of no confidence? Do you think it will achieve anything? Is it a waste of time in the final few hours before the big summer holidays?
I don't think it's a waste of time, Greg, to be honest. I think, as Declan said there, it's important that they are seen to be holding government to account. That is their role as opposition. But I also don't expect the government to go down because of it. I do think the government will survive this vote. I mean, at the end of the day, look, Sinn Féin are intending to continue to grow their support on the ground, and I think they're doing that. There is, from listening to people in the local community here, even, there is a discontent there with Micheál Martin from Fianna Fáil supporters, but there's also a discontent with Leo from Fine Gael supporters. I am probably expecting an election within the year. I don't think this government's going to last the whole duration, to be honest. But again, Sinn Féin are holding the government to account, and that's what they were to do whenever. And I know it's very different when you're standing on the sidelines to shout if you don't have to play the ball. But I do think that they are growing support hugely, and there's going to be a big change even in Donegal at the next general election.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about that. But I wonder too, when TDs look at which way they vote, do they look at the prospects of re-election? They could be chucking away 2 years of wages here. I mean, I don't think it's always necessarily on policy and for the right reasons that people might be inclined to vote. If you're going to lose your seat, are you really going to do that, in inverted commas, the right thing if you believe it to be the case, and effectively concede your wages for the next couple of years? Anya, do you think they would think like that?
Well, to be fair, Joe McHugh stood by the people of Donegal during the week, and he voted against the government. I know he's not seeking election, but at the same time, he voted with his conscience. We've seen what our minister has done, and he voted with the government. Clearly, he's not concerned about his seat, because I don't think he'd have voted the way he did if he was worried about his seat.
Yeah, okay. Joe McHugh obviously has a couple of pensions and what have you to fall back on as well too, which I suppose does might soften the blow somewhat. There's been some criticism of Sinn Féin's Pádraig McLaughlin over some of the comments he made on this programme yesterday as it relates to how the government is handling the defective bloc's crisis. Now, unfortunately, national media don't seem to be able to get the words Highland Radio out of their mouth, but anyway, I'll do it for them. Let's just have a quick listen to what he had to say.
It occurred to me on many occasions, and it's been said to me, that the government were complaining about having to spend billions to help their own people in utter distress, whose lives had collapsed, buildings collapsing around them in Donegal and the West Island. They were complaining. And the same government were almost boasting to the world about spending billions, and rightly, to help out. That's our place in the world. We help out refugees. Every country does that around the world. But they were complaining, doing the same for their own people. And I think that stayed in a lot of minds and hearts. And it goes to the core of what's wrong with the approach of this government, that their own people are in distress and they don't have the same urgency and passion for them.
Now, in and out of that, I thought it was clarified quite well that the sense was that it was government policy that is causing potential division which the government accepts is actually going to grow because they've a report on their desk to suggest just that. But I'll put it to you first, Declan. I mean, do you believe he's right and wrong, or right or wrong? And do you think such comments are ill-advised or sow division like some have claimed they do?
I would never accuse Pádraig McLaughlin of trying to sow division. And I think that if there was any kind of repercussion that arose from that, would certainly be accidental. I think that Pádraig's probably given voice to a sentiment that does exist out there. I do think that in reality, your listeners and the people of Donegal are smart enough to realise that it is government policy that has created this situation and not the fault of anyone who's coming into this country under a protection order from Ukraine, who's fleeing war. I think that the central kind of message to focus on there with Pádraig's comments actually is around the fact that government have been complaining about spending this money. The Department of Housing officials, we know, have been so reluctant to spend this money to help Irish people, but crucially to help people on the Western Seaboard, to help people in the Northwest, because we're not in Dublin, we're not down the south of the country, we're in the forgotten Northwest, we're in the forgotten county. And that's actually the essential kind of point I hone in on there. We know that this government has little regard for the people of this part of the country. And it underlines even more how disgraceful it is that one of our own TDs voted with the government. And it'll be interesting to see how one of our own senators will vote next week.
Okay. What do you think, Susan? Do you think those comments are ill-advised, divisive?
I mean, the word that strikes me in that is complaining. I'm not like, to me as a human being, I don't know how somebody could complain that public expenditure is going to go towards building the homes of these people. I mean, it is an unprecedented multi-billion euro state intervention. I don't know if the word complaining was the right word to use there.
We do have to put it into, and I don't want to sound like I'm defending anyone, but there was a period not so long ago whereby government ministers were coming out in force saying that this is taxpayers' money and we have to be responsible for taxpayers' money and we have to be able to make sure that where the taxpayers' money is going. And in the days after that, there was an awful lot of division sown between those affected by Micah and those sympathetic to them, and those saying, hold on a second, we shouldn't be spending our money. You know what I mean? So there have been divisive comments in the past. So I wonder maybe if that's what I was referencing.
I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, like, look after your neighbour, and that's what like Irish people do. So I don't think, well, me personally, and there's nobody that I know that would have any issue with their taxes going towards helping these poor people, that it's completely out of their control. It's not their fault that their homes are falling down, and there does have to be a sympathy towards these people, and we have to do, as a nation, we have to do something to try and help them.
Anya, what do you think of those comments?
To be honest, Greg, I feel that Pádraig was just pointing out that the government policy is failing to care for the people with MICA, those who effectively will be homeless. It may have been an awkward comparison that he had, certainly, but I think his intention wasn't to cause division. I've probably got to know him over the media, really, over the last number of years, and I have to say he's been a great campaigner. Again, it may have been an awkward comparison he made, but I don't feel that was his intention.
Yeah, and to some extent, I led that in. If the truth be told, Anya, just on as it relates to how we talk about things, then, because I think we have to be careful here as well, because I think everybody knows people that are incredibly sympathetic to what's happening in Ukraine, fully supportive of that, but do feel that, hold on a second, we've been waiting on this, or we can't get that bus place, or this, that, and the other. Do we have to find a way of having that conversation to the fore rather than it happening in the background, and building into something completely different? Other people weaponizing that as some sort of a anti-refugee sentiment, rather than having a platform where people feel they can express themselves but not be accused of being anti anything else.
I think it's very important that space is there for people. We do have to be able to stand up and say what we believe. But I do also think that the people of Ireland have been hugely welcoming to the Ukrainians, and rightly so. Nobody would want to be in the situation that they're in through absolutely no fault of their own. But I do think it's important that space is there, that people can openly say how they feel about things without, as you say, being criticised for it.
Declan, your view?
I think one of the biggest pieces of information, most relevant pieces of information in relation to the accommodation of Ukrainian people in Ireland that isn't really in the public domain, and I don't really understand why, is that the funding for the vast majority of this actually comes from the European Solidarity Fund. So it's European Union money that doesn't actually come from taxpayers' money directly through Irish revenue and through department expenditure at a national level. It's money that's been given by the European Union because they have realised their failures previously around not adequately supplying countries with funding to take refugees in. The other thing is that it's very much in the EU's interest to finance the accommodation of refugees from Ukraine specifically across the European Union so that it doesn't put pressure on other European Union members and cause further jolt to the right in countries like Poland. So there's a whole political ideology behind this, which wasn't present for other refugee crises previously. And there's a number of factors that feed into that we're all aware of. But the funding for this actually comes directly from the European Union as opposed to from Irish revenue.
Why is that not communicated better? For example, I presume it might be in the government's interest to actually make that quite clear. Because if I have read it, but I've read that as a conspiracy. Or not conspiracy is probably doing someone's point of view a disservice, but I've read it as, you're not going to believe who's paying for this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one part of that maybe, or one reason for it is that, for example, if someone is listening to this and thinking the European Union are happy to pay for that, why can't we get the European Union to pay for X, Y, and Z? And that is very much up to the government to campaign for those things, to lobby for those things, to have the European Union to step in to pay for other things. So I guess that would be one of the main reasons that the government aren't putting that out there as much as they should be.
Okay, that was the voice there, and is the voice of Declan Meehan. We're also going to be speaking more to Susan Meehan and Anya McGinley after we take this break.
On this week's Business Matters, I'll be joined by Shane Connolly, owner of Shane Connolly Cares in Donegal Town, and Retail Apprenticeship Manager with Retail Ireland Skillnet, Owen Doherty. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. The part-time Level 8 Honours degree in Business is delivered through a mix of online and face-to-face lectures. Email execedbusiness@lyit.ie. That's execedbusiness@lyit.ie or call 9186206.
Did you know that last year Pieta supported more than 600 families who had lost a loved one to suicide?
Or that we have Pieta centres across Ireland providing almost 1,000 hours of counselling every week?
Or that we are now hiring additional therapists to meet the growing demand for help?
Pieta services are completely free of charge. If you would like to know more about our life-saving work or how you can join the Pieta team, go to pieta.ie.
Pieta.
Ending suicide.
Beginning hope.
This weekend, the Northwest Donegal Vintage Club will host their vintage show at their new location of Kildunfanaghy with classic and vintage cars, tractors, other vehicles and agricultural implements. Craft and artisan displays all welcome. There's also a fun fair, tea tent and trader stalls. Traders must call 087 2366 924. On Sunday, there's music with Alex and Sinead Black, Hugh McLean and John James. Enjoy a great day for all the family this Saturday and Sunday at Kildunfanaghy.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
Calling Bus Air and Expressway passengers. If you're travelling between Donegal and Dublin on Expressway's Route 30x30, we recommend booking your seat online at expressway.ie for the best travel experience. Most people are booking ahead to guarantee a seat, and you get an advance email in the event of any service disruption. All passengers can track where their coach is using Expressway's real-time passenger information. And our customer care agents are available by phone 7 days a week. Have a great trip with Expressway.
Okay, Tánaiste Leo Varadkar accepted that his leaking of a confidential document to a friend was inappropriate. However, he said allegations he broke the law were false and made by sworn political opponents. The Fine Gael leader made the comments in his second statement since he confirmed he'll not face prosecution over the leaking of a GP contract in 2019. Mr Varadkar had admitted that in April 2019 he said sent a copy of a doctor's pay deal between the state and the Irish Medical Organisation to Dr O'Toole. Dr O'Toole was head of the rival organisation, the National Association of General Practitioners, at the time. Right, Susan Meehan, Micheál Martin will be handing over the reins at the end of this year to Leo Varadkar. Do you think that's the right move? Are you happy enough with that? Or do you think maybe there's enough out there in terms of what he's admitted to, albeit it not being criminal according to the DPP? Do you believe you're handing over to a safe pair of hands?
Well, I mean, as a party, we went into this. The members voted on it, and we put our trust in that it would be a safe coalition to go into. The DPP has proven his innocence, I guess. But to me, there's been a lot of stuff in the media recently, and there's been a lot of question marks hanging over his head about his integrity.
I'm going to need you to roll in more behind Leo on this one, because Declan and Anya are on the way. So do you think he should? Do you think he should become Taoiseach again in December?
I suppose it's what was agreed. I suppose we don't really have a choice.
Okay, right. You did your best. Thanks, Susan. Declan, what do you think? Unmute for me, Declan, please. Thank you.
I think that's a very interesting perspective there from an Ógra Fianna Fáil representative. Maybe speaks larger to some of the attitudes that might exist in Fine Gael's coalition partner, Fianna Fáil. I think that Leo should take over? To be honest, I couldn't care less who takes over or doesn't take over as part of this government. I think that whatever happens, the policies will be the same, and we'll have the same failings around housing, around education, around health, and around defective blocks. So it is storm the teacup sort of territory. I think that the uneasiness that Fianna Fáil backbenchers are having of late is also maybe around this issue around Leo Varadkar. We know that there was a lot of consternation that was raised previously. The fact that they have had a serious meeting there earlier this week, raising concerns that they have. I think that we have quite an unstable government. And I think that regardless of who takes over or doesn't, come December time, we'll have the exact same policies, and the only way that we'll have any change is with a general election and a new government.
Before I bring Anya in, Susan, do you get a sense that maybe your association with Fine Gael at this point is damaging for the party? Is there a mood on the ground to sort of try and maybe re-establish Fianna Fáil's identity and get back to perhaps what its voters and its its supporters on the ground expect from it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were left after the last general election. We weren't left with very many options, and I don't think it was something that anybody was overly enthusiastic about going into coalition with Fine Gael. Like it. When I say it wasn't it was one of our last resorts. But I do think there is, as the backbenchers had said during the week, that there is a lot of work to be done.
So at the time, Fianna Fáil recognised the country needs a government. It stepped up into the up to the plate, and formed a coalition in the best interests of the country. But now, now a couple of years on, maybe that needs to be looked at again. Is that kind of? I think that's clearly what you've said, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ideal situation in any country is that one party runs the country. That's the ideal situation. But I don't think, much and all as we would like to see that, I don't think we're going to be in a position to do that anytime soon.
And just one more point before I go to Anya. Micheál Martin has said in the last couple of days that he's going to lead Fianna Fáil into the next election. I think maybe if there were going to be any changes, you'd want a decent lead in time. I don't know, maybe even that might have been what sparked this meeting of backbenchers. Would you be happy with Micheál Martin to lead Fianna Fáil into the next election? All that's involved in the campaign and the debates and what have you. Bearing in mind at that point, obviously Fine Gael, if it ran its full term, would have 1 or 2 years in government. What's your feelings about the leadership of the party?
Yeah, no, I think our leadership is strong at the minute. I think Micheál Martin, since getting into government, he has, since he took up his role as Taoiseach, I think he's proved himself. I think he's done a fantastic job. And my opinion always is one person doesn't make a party. We're a party of a membership. We're a party of a parliamentary party. It's a team effort. I don't think it should boil down to the responsibility of one person. But I'm very satisfied with Micheál Martin's leadership at the moment.
Okay. Right, Anya McGinley. What is your views on Leo Varadkar taking over as leader of the country again, as the DPP's decision? Enough for you to say that, yes, he's the right man for the job, he's a safe pair of hands and so on and so forth?
To be honest, I think he will be Taoiseach again, because I don't think Micheál Martin would have the backbone to tell him that he can't. I don't think that Fianna Fáil should have gone into a coalition with Fine Gael. I think it should have been a national government that should have included Sinn Féin. I think that may have paused Sinn Féin a little bit in their tracks. I think that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are being tied with the same brush. They've been seen as two of a kind. I do have to wonder if the Fine Gael TDs actually want Leo as the Taoiseach. I would question that. He is still being referred to as Leaky Leo, even though the DPP has cleared him of that. At the minute, it's a bit like moving deck chairs on the Titanic. I think it's a sinking ship, and I think the government are going to be held accountable at the next general election, and they'll be judged on their record. I read actually in a Sunday Independent poll that the public have more confidence in the Queen than they have in an Irish leader, which is telling about the quality of Irish leadership.
The Irish public?
The Irish public.
Right, okay. You said that you think that we might have a general election before 2023 is out. What would trigger it?
Well, again, the government are losing their numbers. And I think if they call to a vote and they vote with their conscience rather than vote with the government or vote with just because they're in government, I think that they need to learn to vote with their conscience. And I think that will trigger a vote. Or again, the more votes the Sinn Féin are getting, and if the Sinn Féin can call in the independents, then I think that will trigger an election as well.
Would that mean Sinn Féin would have to do a deal with the rural independents in advance of a vote similar to what they have right now? Because my understanding is on a couple of votes that a few of their demands had to be met to ensure their support. Is that part of politics, or would you prefer if a new government tried to do it without that sort of, you know, I'm not saying it's backhanded, but those sort of side deals?
Well, I suppose what we'd prefer and what might happen might not be the same, but I do see an election being triggered. I don't think this is going to last full term at all, and I can see it within a year.
Susan, what do you think? Do you think that this government will go full term, or do you think do you agree with Anya that either by way of a no confidence motion or maybe a controversy or something that we could see an election in 2023?
Well, given the fact that we're, 2.5 years in now at the minute, and there's already calls of no confidence, which I don't agree with, but I can't see it. I mean, the reins are being handed over in December, and we'll take it from there. But I'd be doubtful that it will go full term.
Because it's a tough one, isn't it, really? Because of the arrangement between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. Fine Gael sort of have the leadership leading into the next election. We've already heard from some Fianna Fáil members that, you know, Fine Gael members, elected members, aren't afraid to have a dig at them. And Fianna Fáil could find themselves in a position that if they try and hit back, that they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain, or that they're being, you know, backstabbing or underhanded. Like, it is setting up quite well for the next couple of years to favour Fine Gael much more than it might Fianna Fáil. It'll be interesting to see how your party handles it, because you do want to be gaining momentum in the lead up to an election, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel on a number of occasions I've seen on social media and in the media that Fine Gael is rolling in behind Fianna Fáil policy, and I suppose, for want of a better word, taking a bit of glory for things that Fianna Fáil have pushed through, and there's no reason we can't do the same.
I mean, if you think of the way Leo Varadkar, the way he came out on the turf issue, and also the way he came out on some of the budgetary measures, you know, before they'd actually been finalised. You know what I mean? It did make him look pretty good and the leader, even though, you know, Micheál Martin effectively is the leader.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's we don't know what's down the road. There's nothing stopping Micheál Martin coming out and role reversal, him calling Leo out on different policies and stuff like that.
I don't think he will, and I think that's why you have backbenchers meeting on the QT.
I don't know. I think Micheál's very straight to the point, and I think he will call them out. He has, recently in the Dáil, he's actually surprised me. He's got very good at calling Mary Lou out.
What are you laughing at, Declan?
I just think that we're talking about the Taoiseach of the country, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, he's gotten a bit better at that and a bit better at this. I think that the problem that Fianna Fáil have, and you ask Greg what might trigger an early election, the Fianna Fáil backbenchers basically is what might trigger an early election. The poll numbers regarding Fianna Fáil might trigger an early election. They're floundering around 15 to 17%, down from 22% in the general election. I think that's the issue that we're faced with here for the stability of this government. I think the other issue is that Micheál Martin is, however people perceive him, what is the alternative? I mean, Fianna Fáil have very few talented TDs in order to...
Jim O'Callaghan's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go.
Sorry, can I just come in?
Come in, Susan, of course. Don't be so polite.
I don't think that's a very fair comment, saying that Fianna Fáil doesn't have talented TDs.
Give us a couple of names as potential leaders, Susan. I don't think I'm putting you on the spot. You're bound to have considered this.
Leaders of Fianna Fáil?
Yeah, that would be... if, say, Micheál Martin decided to pack it in tomorrow, who could be maybe one or two names?
I mean, Jim O'Callaghan's there. Matthew McGrath's there. There's numerous... there's plenty there that have the choice... we have to fall back on if it was a thing. But I don't think we're in a position to even be looking at that at the moment.
I can't believe you never mentioned Charlie McConalogue.
Well, Charlie's there as well, absolutely. There's no reason why not. But I mean, I don't think we're in a position. I don't understand why we're exactly talking about this. I don't think Micheál Martin is anywhere near ready to leave as leader.
Yeah, okay. Well, so listen, we'll move on then. So poor Eamon Ryan's not getting a look in here. No one's mentioned him at all. What's going on there? Anyone want to jump in? No? Everyone's switched to mute. Okay, thank you very much for that. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. A caller says there's no difference who's in power. There are few hard years ahead, and Sinn Féin won't change it either. Just a question on that. I mean, Anya, I presume an opposition party wouldn't want to say, really, do we need an election now because we're taking over at a very difficult time? Is that how politics works, Anya? Could you imagine that type of scenario that, 3 years ago it might have been okay, but now everything that everyone's feeling we're going to be expected to fix because we promised we can't because that's not how things work, and now we're not on the ditch, we're on the field, and it's not quite how we said it was going to be.
I don't see that happening, Greg, to be honest. I think Sinn Féin have been gearing for government for quite some time, and over the last number of years they've gained a huge amount of ground. I think they're ready for government. Whether the country's ready for them to be in government or not is another one, and whether they will make the changes that they promised is another big question. But I can't see them just saying, no, we're not ready for government, to be honest.
Declan, the caller says Micheál Martin said there was €3 billion being taken from the COVID fund to assist Ukrainian refugees. Someone saying that's at odds to what you were saying, that the EU are funding this.
Yeah, and a lot of the money in the COVID fund comes from the European Union Solidarity Fund.
Okay, well, that's that then. All right. Charity must begin at home. We've let our own people down. Well, charity can begin at home and be at home at the same time as helping other people too. They're not mutually exclusive. Right, okay, listen, I better take a break. We're going to have more from our guests in just a couple of minutes. Stay right where you are.
If you've got great photos sitting on your phone or in the cloud, why not visit mcgees.ie and see the range of creative options available. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same price as a standard 6x4s, with 100 prints for just €12. Or select from the great range of photo gifts like mouse and placemats, phone covers, jigsaws and clocks. Click and collect or have them delivered. See what you can do with your favourite photos online at mcgees.ie.
Give your vegetables the best start possible with Veggie Mix from Gortley Sales and Hire. Veggie Mix is weed-free for 3 years and is perfect in a raised bed, polytunnel or to improve your soil. Veggie Mix at Gortley Sales and Hire, Letterkenny.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
If your bank is leaving the Irish market, you'll need to move your bank account to a new provider. This process can take time. So start preparing for your move today. First, find a new provider and open a new account. Then, begin to redirect all incoming and outgoing payments there. Remember to set up your standing orders and direct debits using your new details. And update your subscriptions with your new card details too. Then, you can close your old account. For more advice on what to take into account when moving account, visit movingaccount.ie. Brought to you by Banking and Payments Federation, Ireland.
Does your little one have a jam-packed schedule? Kit them out at Dunnes Stores with a uniform that can keep up. Get joggers that will survive PE on the muddy pitches from just €5, and sweatshirts that will breeze through messy art projects from just €3.75. Pick up a comfy cotton-rich jumper from just €8, and packs of play-proof polos from just €3. Back to school at Dunnes Stores for little ones with big schedules. Shop online now at dunstores.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Just as it relates to, we'll stick with. I don't want to. I think people are interested in politics, but we can overdo it too. But anyway, let's overdo it. Mike Action Group announced during the week that they're forming a political party. They're going to run a candidate or candidates, but certainly, obviously, the starting point logically would be in Donegal. Susan, I presume you can understand why they might do it. Do you think it's advisable? And the general consensus is that Fianna Fáil might be the big losers in such a move.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's quite vague at the minute that they've said that they're going to run candidates. Like, excuse me, we're not sure how many candidates they're going to run. Are they just going to run in Mica affected areas? My only concern would be, as in, we know that they'd be very strong on housing, but we've seen no policy. We don't know their stance on health, on education, agriculture and fisheries. I think it's all quite vague at the minute. But I suppose the way I see it is I'm a very big advocate for every vote counts. And if somebody runs, and whether they get 10 votes or they get 10,000 votes, it's going to affect somebody. So, I mean, I think it's quite hard at the moment to make a kind of informed decision on it, or opinion, I suppose.
Yeah, I get
what
you.
I'm looking for.
Anya McGinley, what do you think?
I do think that the Mica group will have a political impact, especially in Donegal, because of the likes of Joe McHugh and Charlie McConlough, because they're already under pressure. There could well be 3 Sinn Féin seats, a Mica seat, and an independent, because of the mental pain that is being caused by this issue for those Mica families. I do think that they'll elect a candidate in Donegal and they'll go to councillors first. It's embarrassing to see how the government parties have treated the people, and the Mica families will have their say and they'll cast their votes at the next elections, at local and general election. As I said, it'll be interesting, and Declan actually said it earlier on as well, where Niall Blaney stands next week. Will he wear the Donegal jersey, or will he vote because he's been a Fáil senator?
Well, he was quite different. I think he was, in some of the contribution I saw from him during the brief housing committee exchange, he on the issue of, say, for instance, foundations, he seemed to have been going, I don't want to misrepresent anyone here, but from what I heard, he seemed to be suggesting that, let's wait and see with the foundations, that's not necessarily something that needs to be introduced in this legislation right now. And if I'm wrong, I'm very happy to correct that, but that's what I heard. So, as I say, with that in mind, it will be interesting to see the way he votes. Declan, what do you... I'm going to have to ask you first and foremost, and I think I do this every time you're on, because people text in and saying, well, has Declan decided what he's doing? Now, I don't know if that's because you're incredibly popular or what the story is there. I mean, have you had any conversations with anyone or that you're prepared to divulge as it relates to running for a party in the next general election? As I say, people text in every time that you're on wanting to find out, and it would be remiss of me not to ask you, and it's up to you, of course, whether you reply or not.
Well, I've had conversations with different people. I've been approached by different people, but I can categorically say that party politics, whether it is Mica Action Group or whether it's one of the main established parties, does not interest me. And I believe in the strength of independent representation and the importance of that. So that's a categorical answer for you.
Well, I'll not ask it again now. But that does mean that you would look at your options in terms of maybe contesting the election as an independent, a national election.
Well, I think we have a local election to get through first, potentially, and I would certainly be looking towards that first. If a general election were to come up in the meantime, I think that might be a bit cart before the horse, but I'd certainly consider it. But no firm decisions on it, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think that's pretty shrewd. I'm not sure how well people do when they try and jump the local politics. I don't think it works often very, very well. What do you think the ramifications will be of a Mica Action Group candidate? And do you think it's the right move? And what do you think the fallout from that could be, Declan? And I think, shall we presume it would be an Inishowen-based candidate? I think at this point we could probably presume that's the case.
You'd think so, yeah. I think that the ramifications will be very significant. I think it's a very interesting move by the Mica Action Group. I think that it is extremely understandable. I'm a Mica affected homeowner myself. My house has to be demolished at some point. We're looking to access the scheme. Do we want to access the scheme? Who knows? I'm also the chairperson of a community centre which is affected by Mica, so I understand the issues and I'm affected by them personally. I live in a community that a lot of my neighbours are affected by it as well. I think the ramifications of a Micah party will have a significant impact on a general election. Absolutely. I do also think that it could potentially, with the right candidates, have a significant impact on the local elections too. It'll be very interesting to see how it pans out. I think that what Susan has said is correct in terms of what are the issues beyond defective blocks, the policies around.
Listen, was it former Deputy Gilday? It's Thomas Gilday, isn't it? He was elected on the MMDS issue, single issue. He didn't really contribute much to the Dáil, but I think he achieved what he set out to do. So we're not against, electing single issue candidates here in this county. So maybe they don't need a portfolio and need to start getting into other areas of politics.
Yeah, and I think really, to be honest, Greg, it's going to depend on the timing of the election. If the election is sooner rather than later, I think a Micah candidate will do very, very well. I think as time goes on, I'm not sure how much potency the issue is going to have. And the reason for that is that unfortunately the government have pursued a policy of divide and conquer with Micah affected homeowners, the haves and the have-nots, and people who previously were on the streets are now going to access schemes that are, that they have the ability to access. And this may not be as much of a live issue for them, or as much of an issue that would sway them towards voting for a single issue candidate, as opposed to another candidate who is very strong on Micah, but also on other issues as well.
And Susan, are you confident that they fully intend to run a candidate, or possibly was it, a tactic in the run-up to a vote to try and further persuade Charlie McConalogue? In other words, to say, look, you can back us and probably get elected the next time, or not back us and you don't stand a chance. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but I wonder, do you feel they're fully intent on running a candidate, or was it perhaps, like chess, they tried to get Charlie McConalogue into checkmate?
Yeah, I would imagine that they will. They're in a very strong position to run a candidate. So no, I don't think it was tactical. I do think now the timing of the announcement was probably tactical, but I do fully believe that they are going to run somebody.
Okay, listen, thank you very much for that. Anya, I'll go to you first. Obviously, Sinn Féin is the opposition, or as part of the opposition, put through a number of proposals as it relates to easing the burden on parents and guardians with back to school measures. The government have announced their own so far. I think it's an extra €100 back to school allowance, and also free school bus places. Now, I still haven't been able to ascertain whether this is all children or just children that use bus errand services. I actually haven't been able to get any clarification on that. Do you think the government has gone far enough, particularly given the fact that they might be able to go a little bit further in the budget towards the end of September?
I don't believe that the €100 increase is enough, to be honest. One of the 4 parts of the INTO's budget campaign for budget 2023 was actually looking for an increase in capitation, which would mean less need for parents' contributions. The INTO are looking for a 20% uplift in that capitation grant. Because before the pandemic, and of course now with the cost of living crisis, schools were already struggling to meet basic expenditure. But there's a survey done by the CPSMA, the Catholic Primary Schools Management Association, and they found that schools independently raised €46 million to keep their doors open last year. It's absolutely astronomical. Primary schools receive a capitation grant of €1 per pupil per school day, and second level schools get almost double that amount. It shows the different studies, the OECD study, which we look at very much in terms of our pre-budget costings, show that Ireland spends on average 20% less per student at primary level than other developed countries do. So the INTO are calling for a significant increase in the school capitation to better fund schools and reduce the burden on parents who already have to give additional financial support.
Now, you'd hope, obviously that figure you mentioned as it relates to, the parents and guardians contribution, that's not a big, I presume you'd want the government to go beyond that, but it's not a huge a bridge to gap. Or gap to bridge, sorry.
What we've estimated that from September to December next year, because obviously when it comes to schools, the effect of the budget only kicks in September. From September to December next year, that's €6.9 million, which is actually a drop in the ocean for an education budget. It's a very small amount. Over the course of the year, of a full year, it would be 20 million, but from next year's budget, it's actually only 6.9 million, which is very small. Schools were very aware that everybody's bills are increasing, but obviously those bills are increasing in schools as well. So we are asking that the government would take on board the INTO's plea to increase that capitation to ease the burden on parents in a time of historic inflation, especially.
Yeah, Declan, would you concur?
Absolutely. I think that there are a lot of issues that need to be resolved and can be resolved through budgetary measures. I think one of the big issues around the back to school allowance, not only has it not been increased by enough, but also the income threshold needs to be increased so that more families can access that payment. We know that people are feeling the squeeze big time, and it's summertime, and that's only going to get worse as we go into the autumn and winter. So I think that's one of the key measures that they need to look at, is increasing the income threshold.
And I think that is something, in fairness to the government, they are probably going to look at as part of the budget. Susan?
Yeah, no, just to agree with Declan. When I was doing my reading and whatever on the topic, and that was the one thing that I did take away from it, that the thresholds could be reviewed, and I think I don't think it stretches far enough for working families. I think it could stretch a little bit further.
Susan, thanks for coming back on again. It's been lovely having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much indeed. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the weather next week if you can. That's Susan Meehan there. Declan Meehan, as always, a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself. Have a lovely weekend. And Anya, last but not least, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. Right, that was our Friday panel. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
Do you know how green skills can benefit you as an employer? Skills to Advance has a range of green skills courses that will help make Irish business greener, improve cost savings, competitiveness and profitability, develop new skills in your team and access highly subsidised training. For more information, contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Boost skills, boost business with Skills to Advance. Brought to you by Sulis and the ETBs, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
New summer footwear at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. New Balance, Asics, Brooks and Hoka. Brooks Adrenaline 22 in new colours just arrived. Hoka Clifton 8, new summer colours. Or try Bondi 7 for some extra cushioning. Bounce your way through the summer with the best brands and best fit for your feet. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
Farmers at Teagasc Beef Open Day told they could treble their income. Find out how inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Also, McConnell squares up to Ryan as battle to protect sector from cattle herd cuts intensifies. We've top tips for boosting fodder reserves and saving in fertiliser. Fears over ration prices for next winter ease. And we report in the first of the autumn wheeling sales.
Plus, don't miss your free guide to next week's Farm Machinery Show. Inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
This summer, make some magical memories with family and friends at the Northwest's biggest adventure water park and inflatable assault course at the Shorefront Moville with Inish Adventures. There's a whole world of fun waiting for you this summer. Kayaking, paddleboarding, banana boating, storm rides, sailing. Perfect for birthday parties, hen or stag parties, or a great family day out. Plus a cafe on site. For more details, call Inish Adventures Moville or online at inishadventures.com.
OK, we're going to take one final quick break before the news at 10. Stay with us. We'll be back with much more in the programme, including Seamus Gunn answering your legal questions after the news at 10. So if you've got questions for Seamus, get in touch right now, 08660 25000.
Build a better future with a digital transformation course. With digital transformation courses from Advanced Centre, you can improve the way we work together and do business. The power behind 3 of Ireland's leading universities, UCD, ATU Sligo and TU Dublin, have combined to offer flexible, accredited digital transformation courses, from individual modules to full programmes. Starting in September, your future is enrolling now. See advancedcentre.ie.
With a smart meter, you can take full control of your home's electricity usage. But here's the important bit. Only if you sign up to an Electric Ireland smart meter plan. Our personalised usage insights will help you make the most of your electricity. So if you'd like to find out the perfect time to put on a wash, or see how your bill's looking on any day of the month, search Electric Ireland smart meter plans and find out the best plan for your home. Smart meter required. T's and C's apply.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Shane Connolly Car Sales has relocated to Drumlonagher, Donegal town. Besides offering quality used cars, we have a brand new state-of-the-art workshop for all your car service needs. At Shane Connolly Car Sales, we deliver straight to your door and offer excellent finance packages. Check out our social platforms or visit ShaneConnollyCarsales.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €230 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, just gone 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. A community worker in the Milford area says he is interested in becoming involved in politics, but not with one of the established parties. Declan Meehan, manager of the Milford and District Resource Centre, is a regular commentator, and he was speaking on this morning's 9 till noon show. He did recently meet with Taoiseach Leo Varadkar while he was in the county. That's led to speculation that Declan Meehan may be targeted by Fine Gael as a future candidate. Well, this morning he told Greg Hughes that while he is interested in politics, he is more interested in independent representation.
I've had conversations with different people, I've been approached by different people, but I can categorically say that party politics, whether it is Mike Action Group or whether it's one of the main established parties, does not interest me, and I believe in the strength of independent representation and the importance of that. We have a local election to get through first, potentially, and I would certainly be looking towards that first. If a general election were to come up in the meantime, that might be a bit cart before the horse, but I'd certainly consider it, but no firm decisions on it, absolutely not.
Well, it was confirmed this morning that Sinn Féin will table a motion of no confidence in the government next week. The party confirmed the move shortly before 8:30. They've challenged independents not to support the current government, which lost its technical majority after Donegal TD Joe McHugh resigned the Fine Gael whip and voted against the new defective blocks scheme this week. Sinn Féin's agriculture spokesperson Matt Carthy is dismissing suggestions that this is effectively a waste of time.
We have a responsibility, I would argue, an obligation to hold government to account and to challenge a government that is failing. The government have been in office for 2 years. As I say, if you look at all of the big parameters, all of the areas on which people need government to act and act decisively and act in a way that actually delivers for them, government have been failing.
Over 5,200 people have been waiting over 5 years for hospital treatment. According to Freedom of Information figures, they're awaiting outpatient, inpatient and day case appointments. Galway University Hospital, the worst affected, with nearly 800 people waiting over 5 years. Some of those will be from Donegal. Well, Donegal GP Kieran O'Farrell says while 5 years is an inordinately long time, lengthy waiting lists are becoming the norm.
The norm for us, for many services, is expecting people to wait over a year, and you're warning them of that. And unfortunately then, as GPs, we're trying to deal with them on a day-to-day and a week-by-week basis to try and maybe manage their symptoms, making frequent calls, writing repeated letters to try and get people access to the service that we feel they need.
The number of individuals and organisations being targeted by the Criminal Assets Bureau in Donegal has fallen substantially. The Bureau's latest annual report shows 28 targets in Donegal at the end of last year. It was down from 48 at the end of 2020, a drop of almost 42%. The figures show CAB is investigating almost 1,800 targets nationally, including 27 individuals or crime gangs not resident in Ireland. Facebook and Instagram could be shut down in Europe as Ireland's Data Protection Commission plans to follow through on an order to stop them transferring data to America. Parent company Meta has repeatedly threatened to cut off the sites, claiming transferring European data to the US is vital for its operations. European authorities have ongoing privacy concerns about the storage of citizens' information in the US because of surveillance programs there. The Irish Independent's tech editor Adrian Weckler said the Irish Data Protection Commissioner Helen Dixon is very much taking the lead on this issue.
She has sent her draft decision to other European data regulators, which she's obliged to do under European law. They will come back within 30 days with their comments and any objections. And then basically data transfers using Facebook and Instagram will, in theory, be banned from the European Union to the US.
And the Transport Minister has been challenged over recent cancellations on the Donegal town to Dublin bus route. Deputy Thomas Bringle told Minister Eamon Ryan that cancellations wouldn't be allowed to happen to that extent anywhere else in the country.
In just one day, an incredible 6 services between Dublin and Donegal were cancelled. I've been contacted by people who have missed important appointments, people who have missed work, and people who have missed flights due to this. This is completely unacceptable, and frankly it would not be allowed to happen anywhere else. So why has it been allowed to happen in Donegal? The Donegal-Dublin service is already struggling to meet demand, with every single bus jam-packed. When just one service is cancelled, it creates an incredible backlog of people waiting to travel. When as many as 6 are cancelled, it causes total mayhem.
Yeah, Deputy Pringle, if you could forward me the details of the specific examples you have. I mean, a lot of organisations are in real difficulty with coming out of COVID, or a recent wave in COVID, but I'd happily follow up and look to see why in Donegal, what happened, and report back to you.
Well, the forecast and Met Éireann tell us there'll be patches of mist in places this morning. It'll be mainly dry for the rest of the day with a fair amount of cloud and some sunny breaks. However, a patchy drizzle possible in places as well, particularly in coastal areas. Top temperatures 16 or 17 degrees Celsius with moderate westerly breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
Obituary notices for Friday morning, July 8th. The death has occurred of John McGinley, 86, Crowan Heights, Lifford. Removal from Letterkenny Funeral Home, Port Road, today at 1 p.m, going to his late residence. Requiem Mass on Sunday at 11 a.m. in St Patrick's Church, Murlugh, Lifford, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Mary Doherty, Upper Main Street, Donegal Town, and formerly of Carrickmahon and Tivany Bands, Cloughan. Mary's remains are reposing at her niece Joanne McGlynn's home at Finnabands, Barnesmore, Donegal Town. Removal from there this morning at 10:30 a.m. for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Donegal Town at 11 a.m, with interment afterwards in Kiltavogie Cemetery, Glenfin. The death has occurred of Denny Grant, Upper Ballyliffin, Clonmany. Funeral from his late residence this afternoon at 2:30 p.m, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany for Requiem Mass at 3 p.m, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations if desired to St Columkill Village Centre, Clea, Clonmany, care of any family member or McFeely Funeral Directors. Family and friends only at the house please from 1:30 p.m. today. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Kathleen Wilson, Drum Gorman, Mount Charles. Her remains are reposing at St John's Church, Inver, with funeral service this afternoon at 2 p.m, with burial afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu, if so desired, to St John's Church, Inver, or Donegal Town Community Hospital, Patients Comfort Fund, care of Gallagher's Funeral Home, Mount Charles. House private please. The death has occurred of Mervyn McClure, Lurgy, Letterkenny. Mervyn's remains will leave his brother Derek and sister-in-law Janice's residence at Knockbrack, Letterkenny, this afternoon at 1 p.m, travelling via the Lurgy Road to Ray Presbyterian Church, Manor Cunningham, for 2 p.m. funeral service of Thanksgiving. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Emergency Department, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Brian Dolte Boyle, Kincashla. His remains are reposing at his home, with rosary at 9 p.m. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. in St Mary's Church, Kincashla, with interment afterwards in Belcroot Cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to Dunlow Community Hospital, care of any family member. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
If you are 65 or over, make sure you've had your latest COVID-19 booster vaccine. Without it, you're more at risk of serious illness if you get COVID-19. To get your vaccine, contact a participating pharmacy or GP, book on hsc.ie or call us on 1800 700 700 from the HSC. For us all.
And you're welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show. Or a very good morning if you're joining us for the first time. Coming up shortly, Seamus Gunn is going to be joining us to answer your legal questions. So if you want to get them into us, you still have time. 086 60 25,000 or call Donna Marie on 07491 25,000. A little later on, we'll be joined in studio by Michael Leddy and Fanula Rabbit, where we will be bringing you, we'll just be chatting all things entertainment. We want you involved in that conversation as well. So if you've been to the cinema, watched anything on telly, or doing anything, gone to the theatre, whatever you might do, anything that will lift our spirits. I want to know what you're going to do for the following week, because it seems our weather is going to improve. We're not going to necessarily get what they're getting in the southeast, but the weather forecast is very favourable. So tell us what you're going to be doing. We're also going to be talking about a show coming up on Green On. We hear about a group of musicians sailing into Donegal for a tour, and also we'll look forward to the weather with our friends at Carlow Weather to see what the week has in store for us, specifically here in the northwest, because you know what we can do. We can tend to see a national weather forecast and attribute it to us, and then that weather doesn't quite arrive, and then we all fall out with each other. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. Why doesn't the Micah group approach the president and ask him not to sign the bill? Okay, that's... I don't think it works, is the reason why. I think Sinn Féin should approach Declan Meehan about becoming a candidate for the next election. I think Declan categorically now at this stage has said he will not be involved in party politics, be it Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, or indeed the Micah Action Group, their political party they're forming. He has an interest in politics, but it's through independence. Vilification and cynical of our current government is an easy opt-out. What about support and sensible suggestions for reform? Bring them to us as well, by the way. It's very important that if you believe the government is doing well, or if you are happy with what they're doing, or if you think things could be tweaked or changed or anything like that there. Now, that's whether you're a party supporter, a floating voter, or an elected representative, okay? Because say, for instance, in our conversation yesterday, we extended invites to government reps to come on and enter the discussion as it relates to the outcome of that bill in the Dáil. Today, we had an Olga Fianna Fáil member on the party to try and strike as much balance. This is not a pylon here, by the way. So if you're listening and you want to say, hold on, I'm sick and tired of what people are saying. This is what's happened in this country over the last couple of years. This is where it's been delivered. Please the lines are open for you as well. 07491 25,000. That's to call, or text or WhatsApp 08660 25,000. I would very much welcome that, because it makes my job easier in terms of trying to strike a balance. So if you feel that certain parties or people aren't getting a fair crack of the whip, or they need defending or whatever, get in touch with us, please. This caller says Fianna Fáil never did much for Donegal after partition, also never put candidates in the six to represent the nationalist people when they had and have that mandate. They let the unionists take over the electorate. Also, we are crying out for a railway system and the A5 to the capital. Hopefully Sinn Féin get a majority in the next election. Another caller says we have two parties running our wee county. Charlie was told to toe the line, or else why would another party want the job now? A lot of big unpopular decisions to be made. That's a really good point, you know. I'm not a Sinn Féin supporter, says this listener, but what Padraig McLaughlin said yesterday is completely spot on and exactly what is on the mind of all ordinary people. It's not divisive. It's time we called a spade and stopped beating about the bush with political correctness. And I don't think those comments stray beyond that. There is a slight problem as well, and I'm part of the media, I think, but the media have a responsibility to... The media have a responsibility to report stuff accurately as much as is possible as well, because the comments made on the programme yesterday were, it was a Social Democrat politician, I think, in Dublin that didn't, I don't know if they heard it or not, but they gave their interpretation of his comments, and then it was picked up by The Independent and RTE, and they never came to us or me looking for the source of the information, you know, where they could play it out or a journalist could listen to it and say, I wonder, is there a story here? The story was the fact that one politician didn't like what another said. And I just think, you know, it does no harm to make a couple of calls. We pretty much, I think, always make calls before we cover a story to try and give people a fair reply or whatever. And I think really that should happen on a national scale. And I think the people, regardless of who you support or what your feelings are, deserve that. This caller says it's harder on Charlie McConalogue. If he voted against it, he'd lose the party whip. Then he couldn't bring anything to the county. He'd also lose his position as a minister, and maybe he feels that he has a job to do for farmers and fishers. So that could have been part of his motivation as well. A caller says there's a cap of €420,000 for building a house. This would surely do the job. Well, you see, it's the €420,000 is the absolute maximum. But out of that, there's fees that come out of that, and lots of other stuff that come out of that as well. So you're left with much less than the €420,000 for building your property. And indeed, if some people go into the scheme at the lowest level, they would still find themselves, as it stands, having to come up with 10, 20, 30, 40,000 euro. All the maths have been done. Very few people can access that scheme as it is and replace their house without having to, and often people can't find an awful lot of money themselves. Patrick says, we've all heard what happened in the Dáil on Wednesday night, especially the disdain shown to the Micah victims by the Galway Tent Party for this campaign has only fallen short by a couple of TDs not doing the right thing, and so the Micah teams should keep pushing forward with one of the most disciplined and dignified campaigns this Banana Republic, as they described it, has ever seen. We don't need two Conservative Irish parties anymore. Sorry, my mistake. Does it really matter who leads when everyone knows it's the civil servants who call the shots? We heard from Independent Deputy Thomas Pringle, who says that often government parties use that as an excuse. They are the democratic elected people, and if they have a will, then there is a way. Charlie won't be TD after next election. I feel so betrayed, believes a caller. I feel like the people of this country are treated like second-class citizens, says another. The Taoiseach is there to show the Irish people's support to the Ukraine. It is not related to the homeless crisis. Another, the microgroup have a right to stand on one issue and they will get elected. Yeah, indeed. And I think that was teased out in the course of that conversation. Right, okay. More coming in all the while. Keep them coming in to us, 08660 25,000. Just to let you know, of course, that Seamus Gunn's just going to be joining us after the bingo numbers in a break. You can watch his contribution and the That's Entertainment item and all of what we do here on the programme every day on our website, highlandradio.com, or you can go to our social media, Highland Radio Ireland on YouTube, or our Facebook pages. Watch the show, interact with us there. Good morning John Joe Duffy, Father John Joe, I believe it is. He says it's so sad and heartbreaking to see the suffering of many people waiting to be seen in hospitals. I wonder how many people have died while on waiting lists, and that's something that requires a bit of investigation. Good morning to you, Rosemary, watching. Rosemary Cassidy, Audrey Neelis is there. Charlie McGinley, thanks for your contributions. Grania Hines, always good to have you on board. And I think it was Grania's comments that the vilification and cynical of our current government is an easy opt-out. What about support and sensible suggestions for reform? Felemi watching with us, as is Ali and Beth and Annie, and Eunan's there as well, Michael and Angela, all of you, great to have you on board watching the programme as well. Back after these.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 8th of July. You're playing on a yellow coloured sheet. The reference number is S15. It's game number 27. The numbers are 41, 62, 31, 80, 36, 43, 65, 37, 38, and 73. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 p.m. tonight, leaving your name, contact number, and the name of the shop where you purchased your book. Get all your NCBI Radio Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Irish sun doesn't really count, right?
Look, we all deserve a bit of sun.
Skin cancer is the most common cancer in Ireland, so whether you're at home or abroad, protect your skin by following these sun smart steps. Slip into long loose clothes, slop on the sunscreen, slap on a sun hat, seek shade. Yeah, even on the cloudy days. Oh, and slide on the sunglasses.
I do have very funky sunglasses.
And I do love this hat.
Be sun smart from the HSE and Healthy Ireland.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
New this week in Home Store and More. All living room cushions are half price. That's right, half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price living room cushions are gone, they're gone. Also, all camping is still half price. But when all the half price camping is gone, it's definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
They say you should have your second baby first, because with your second baby, you'll have learned what to do, what not to do, what's best for baby and best for you. Like the Loopy Loo range from Lidl. Everything your baby needs, including award-winning nappies from only 99 cent. When you know what to do, Loopy Loo. Available exclusively at Lidl. More for you. See our full range at lidl.ie/Loopy Loo.
The all-new Kia Niro and e-Niro are coming. Available in a plug-in hybrid and full electric version. All-new styling and all-new technology. This car will blow you away. Currently taking orders with stock arriving in July and August. Call us today or visit our website imotors.ie.
Okay, delighted to welcome onto the programme Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gunn and Company. Seamus, a very good Friday morning to you. How are you keeping?
Morning, Greg. Thanks. Yeah, good. Yeah, thanks. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, great to have you again. Before we get to some questions, and indeed maybe to give listeners an opportunity to send any last-minute questions in they might have, we learned during the week that a man who claimed he suffered severe injuries when a motorbike ran over him during an off-road race has had his case dismissed at the High Court. John Hurley was competing in the motocross race in a field at Portarlington, Laois, when he says a bike hit him at a bend and he was knocked off, but as he lay on the track, another motorbike ran over him. Mr. Hurley, who blacked out, suffered fractures to his pelvis and spent several weeks in hospital afterwards and months on crutches. Ms. Justice Mary Rose Gertie said there was no question of dishonesty in the way the case was presented. She had sympathy, but said nothing had been proven in terms of negligence. Did this case catch your eye at all, and why?
Yeah, well, it did in that it's unusual. It's one of these cases which highlights what there's an old Latin maxim in the law. It's called volenti non fit injuria, Greg. And not to bore your listeners, what that basically means, if you agree to take a risk and you suffer or sustain an injury or damage as a result of it, you can't therefore claim off another party. So in this particular instance, you have a motocross. Now, in any interpretation, it's a highly dangerous sport. These are motorbikes that are taking part in a race. It's in a field, they're high powered. And in the circumstances of this were quite unusual in that, unfortunately, John Hurley, who's a guy in his 40s, he was coming into a bend and there was a collision with another motorcyclist, which again is quite, foreseeable. But the guys coming behind him then, one of them ran over Mr. Hurley, who was on the ground, and he had very significant pelvis injuries, and he was weeks in hospital. And you'd have to say you would have to have every sympathy for him. So then he takes an action against the race organisers. He alleges that there wasn't adequate marshalling at the bend, that they didn't do a proper risk assessment, that if they had done that, that they would have seen that there was a danger involved in that particular bend, and a marshal could have highlighted it. That wasn't accepted by the judge, I have to say. There was 2 expert witnesses gave testimony in this case, and one of them made the point, a very telling point, that even if there was a marshal at that bend, the accident would have happened anyway, because the two motorbikes collided. And then the unfortunate Mr. Hurley, who is on the ground, if you can picture it, there's more bikes coming behind at speed, and one of them goes over him. Now, who is at fault? Can the organizer be held to account for that? Well, it ran for 2 days in the High Court. The judge let him down very lightly, as in, she did have every sympathy for him. But the one point that I keep emphasizing with all these types of actions, you have to be able to establish negligence. You have to be able to prove that there's some fault, some act of commission or omission on the part of the other party. This just didn't stand up. And the judge in this case preferred the testimony of one of the expert witnesses and adopted the old maxim, as I said, if you actually volunteer to take a risk in a highly dangerous sport and you're injured and you know those risks, you take the consequences. You can't therefore come and point the finger at the organizer if they're doing their best. It's not a perfect world. The onus is on them to take all reasonable steps. In this case, a marshal on that bend, according to the expert, wouldn't have made any difference. And I actually would have to probably agree.
Yeah, but where is the bar in...
I hate seeing a case being thrown out.
Understood. But where is the bar in terms of highly dangerous? Because we do see successful cases in soft play areas, playgrounds, play parks. All of these, there is a risk involved, go-karting. Do you know what I mean? There's always a risk involved. So, obviously, there has to be a level of negligence proven there. Does this change anything, do you think? Does this set a precedent? Because, as you say, highly risk. Some people might argue motocross is one of the safest sports in the world. Like you might hear from boxing fans or rugby fans. You know what I mean? So where is that bar, and could this have any consequences for any future claims?
I think it has consequences for anybody participating in such sports in taking an action against co-competitors and the organisations who promote the actual sport, unless they can really show that they have neglected the responsibilities in the proper marshalling of the event. This particular case, that didn't happen. So it will send some shockwaves to many litigants who may be considering similar types of actions. Remember, we have one of the most successful international rallies here every year, and that gives cause for many accidents, actually. But as far as being able to make a claim in negligence, it's very, very difficult in these type of circumstances. You pay your money, you take your risk, and you take the consequences.
Yeah, okay. A quick word with you two, if you don't mind, because we've talked about in the past. Ghislaine Maxwell this week formally appealed her conviction and 20-year prison sentence for helping the late financier Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse underage girls for more than a decade. The socialite's notice of appeal was filed 9 days after she was sentenced by US Circuit Judge Alison Nathan in Manhattan. Should we have just expected this, of course, or is there anything of note there that jumps out at you?
Ghislaine Maxwell is, I think, now 60, in or around 60 years of age. Epstein was around mid-60s, I think, when he decided to take his own exit in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex crimes. He didn't face the consequences of that. The point, I think, that the lawyers were hoping on appeal, and they're actually trying to make the point in the case proper when it came before the court, that this was a very high-profile trial, and that Ghislaine Maxwell was being pursued because Epstein had evaded justice, and they're still hanging their hopes on that to maybe get a reduction in the sentence. Her at 60, coming out at 80, most of the rest of her life. I have to say, though, that the prosecution were looking for 55 years, while the defence were looking for somewhere in the region of a category from 5 to 10 years. I was not at all surprised with the 20. I had it actually marked up, as it looked like that Judge Alison Nathan would go down that middle of the road route. Would I be hopeful of the appeal? Guarded maybe 5 years, maybe possibly taken off it. But other than that, she'll spend most of the rest of her days, I think, incarcerated.
I presume she has information that might be useful in investigating matters further surrounding her former partner.
Yes,
would that be being pursued? Do you think she will see how this appeal goes, perhaps before trying to maybe do a deal to get some liberty back for what remains of her life?
I suppose whenever you've been sentenced, if one is sentenced to 20 years, the first option you look at is an appeal. You're going to have plenty of time to prepare it. No, she has really got nothing to lose here. An appeal, of course, they have the right to up the sentence. I don't think that will happen. I think that she has to take her chances and try to bring it back. Maybe advance the argument a little bit more that this was really to get somebody for Epstein's crimes. But she was a co-conspirator. She's a trafficker. She was convicted out of 4 of the 5 counts. So very, very serious, described as a heinous and predatory crime. The sentence, I don't believe, will be reduced an awful lot. And I wouldn't be hopeful at all of an actual appeal, her winning an appeal at all.
Okay, we're going to get to your questions right now. Seamus, if you don't mind holding, we're going to take a really short break and we'll be right back.
At Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure, we know a good pair of trainers makes all the difference. Whether you're running marathons or training for your first 5K, we stock all the leading brands, including Asics, Brooks and New Balance, with different styles and features to suit individual running needs. Call in store or shop online at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Experience Grammy-nominated music sensation Celtic Woman on their all-new tour, Postcards from Ireland, Millennium Forum Derry, Friday the 12th of August. Tickets from £29.50 on sale now. See millenniumforum.co.uk and celticwoman.com for details.
I started off walking parkrun, and it took me a year to build up to be able to run 5 kilometres. When I got breast cancer, I actually feel the fact that I was fit meant I was able to tolerate the treatment so much better. And when I came out of hospital, the first thing I actually did was go for a walk with one of my parkrun buddies. It's not just about running, it's exercise for life. My name is Geraldine and I'm a parkrunner.
VHI believes parkrun is more than running. That's why we're their biggest supporter. Join us every week at your local parkrun.
Experience everything this summer has to offer here at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, with a wide range of shops and services packed with great choice and value for you to explore. You can enjoy free parking, Wi-Fi and take a break with our popular outdoor seating area. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. We can't wait to see you.
Getting value on your shopping has never been more important. That's why at Super Value we have great offers like Super Value Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak save 33%, Campo Viejo Winemaker's Blend only €8, and get new weekly money off vouchers on the Real Rewards app. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Don't miss All Folked Up live at O'Flaherty's Buncrana this Saturday. That's All Folked Up live in Buncrana this Saturday. Tickets available from eventbrite.ie.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €230 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Okie doke, and you're very welcome back to the programme. Seamus Gunn is still with us, and we'll get to some questions too. I'm not sure the background to this question, Seamus, but they want me to ask you. Could you ask the legal expert that you have on if it's okay to wear smart glasses or a body cam for recording in a handover situation for access to a child? Can it be used in court as evidence, Seamus?
That's a very tricky. That's a very tricky one, Greg. You would consider what implications it has under GDPR. This idea of a handover, the phrasing of it indicates that there are some difficulties. That's the inference in it. I'm not sure what they are. We don't have a lot of information on that. I don't see it as being ideal at all. I don't see it as being maybe in the best interest of the child, in which any family law proceedings have to be interpreted. That's the emphasis a court will put on any rulings it ever makes. The welfare of the child is always paramount. If you're in a situation where a parent is recording a handover, as I think it's described here, a handover situation, I don't think that augurs well for the parties, and I would have serious misgivings about it. I'm not sure as to why they would want to have it admitted in evidence. They don't indicate that at all. What I would say is this, that these type of intrusions under GDPR are taken very seriously. That only back last month or so, Minister McEntee is proposing to introduce facial recognition technology for Gardaí, which hasn't even hit the statute books as yet, but to ID and track potential criminals in certain circumstances so that they would have facial recognition. That's already been tried, I have to say, in the UK, and it hasn't been terribly successful. There's been about 85% or 80% plus have found that the identities were actually were erroneous. So, and also they are very qualified that such technology would only be used when there's a threat to national security or threat to life, or in child abduction scenarios, that type of. So and that's not even on the criminal statute book as yet. So the caller now referring to it in a family law scenario or situation, we need a lot more detail of it. I don't see how it could assist or how it could be relevant, and whether or not it's in the best interest of the child. I would have some misgivings about that.
And this is not obviously a legal opinion, but it sounds to me like this could actually be, used against the person. This is the type of behaviour. This is what I had to endure. Whatever it might be, I just think it might be quite easy to argue, even if it is legally permissible. It might be easy to argue against the person obtaining the footage. Just to clarify on that, a caller says, I thought that in relation to recording, if one party consented, which can be yourself or a friend, then everything was above board.
Yeah, but this is a situation where there's no inference of any party consenting here. This is a situation as it's described where one is going to use this footage or attempting to use footage in some manner to gain some advantage in a court of law. And as I said, I have serious misgivings about that.
I'll just stay on in the same issue here just for our next question. My partner keeps missing the time they are meant to see our child and then tries to arrange new ones at the last minute, which I can't accommodate. I'm worried that if I go to court, this could reflect badly on me. Could it?
Difficult to see that, Greg, if the fault lies on the other party. I think that family law that phrase, even law, I've had issues with it, and family law cases coming to trial in court settings. Firstly, in relation to any family law matter, and as I've said many times, courts will try to do the best for the family and to do the best for the children, and they will act in the best interests of the children only. And it is in that scenario that parties have to set aside their own views on each other, and set aside any agendas they might have, and act responsibly in the best interests of the child. And that obviously includes situations such as access and times, etc. And really, if there's breaches of that, you can go into court and you can have them specifically set by the court. In my opinion, there has to be flexibility in these situations. And it comes back to this point again, the flexibility is in the best interest of the child. And obviously a child should have access for a balanced upbringing to both parents, if that can be done reasonably and practically.
Okay, I'm not sure this is a legal question, but I'll ask anyway. And it's one, actually, what I'll try and do, if you can't answer it, Seamus, is try and find an answer over the weekend for this listener. But they're long-term partnered, not married. They want to know what supports they can seek out. Their partner passed away suddenly, and we're very sorry to hear that. They have no children, and they were renting a house together. The caller feels very lost and struggling both emotionally and financially. Are there any supports that they're entitled to? We have been together for years.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd have to direct that to the Department of Social Welfare and Family Affairs, and they would certainly be able to assist them. What I would say is this, that they didn't enter a civil partnership and they don't have a civil partnership registered, and that could come against them in this scenario. And I'm just flagging that up. So,
if the person was able to prove they cohabitated for a certain amount of time and shared their life entirely, is there any way that there could be a qualification there for the widow's grant, I wonder?
No, well, there could be there could be an entitlement under the cohabitation legislation back a decade plus ago for a claim by the partner to a share in the deceased estate. Okay. It could give rise to that. As far as welfare legislation is concerned, if they are not registered as partners and having a civil partnership registered, I'm just flagging it that could give rise to a difficulty. The Department of Social Welfare and Family Affairs would certainly be able to clarify that for them. Of course, you have every sympathy for them, but that's the whole idea of having registration of a civil partnership. But under the cohabitation legislation, if you're talking about a claim on the estate, there could be something in that, and it would certainly be worth further investigating.
Okay, this is another kind of an interesting question, because it's not legal really in the full sense of the word. Somebody I know is driving without tax and insurance. Can you please tell me what the repercussions could be? Because I can't seem to get through to this person the danger, and they're at the wit's end in trying to make the point.
Well, it is legal in that driving without tax and insurance is illegal. And that is a criminal offence under the road traffic legislation and has been since God was a child. So if they continue as where they're at on the road, they're running the gauntlet. When caught and brought before the courts, which probably may be inevitable if they continue with it, the sanctions will be imposed, and the sanctions can be quite heavy, in that there'll be likely a disqualification period, and depending on whether it's a first or second offence, that will determine the time that would be imposed for, and also there'll be a heavy fine. So they're doing it very much at their own risk. It is illegal, and get taxed and get insured.
And if they were to come to the attention of the Gardaí as a result of a road traffic collision or knocking someone over or whatever it might be, I presume the sanctions could be greater.
Well, absolutely, of course. And if there's an element of dangerous driving, again, that would be taken into consideration. And, it could even have far worse repercussions. And, you could be looking at a situation where there's an incarceration pending as a result. It just depends on what happens. But simpliciter being if they're caught, and the Gardaí have certain powers that have powers even to seize the vehicle. So I mean, it beggars belief that they should be out there flying the face of the law in that manner.
All right. What's the situation regards tax payments, etc., when leaving land or a house to a family member?
Well, they are governed by what's called capital acquisitions tax. CAT, Greg, covers both gift and inheritances. And in those type of scenarios, depending on the relationship that you have to the donor, if it's a gift, or to the person that you are inheriting the property from, if it's an estate, it depends on the relationship. So, for example, at the moment, the thresholds are set, and then after you go above the thresholds, you pay the tax. So to give you the example, if you're a direct lineal descendant or son or daughter, there's a threshold set at the moment for CAT, for gift or inheritance at 335,000. Thereafter, you're paying 33% on the inheritance, and there may be certain exemptions. Yeah, there could be agricultural reliefs, etc., to be taken into consideration. But on the face of it, the threshold is 335. Now, if we go once removed from that, and let's say you're inheriting from a sibling, brother or sister, or from an uncle or an aunt, the threshold drastically drops to just less than 10% of that, to in or around, subject to correction, 32,500 for a sibling or nephew or niece. Then, if it's a stranger and somebody is generous enough to give you a gift of 20,000, or leaves you that in their will, but you're not related to them at all, the threshold then is only 16,250. So you would be paying, in that example I've given you, you'd be paying 33% tax on 3,750, and thereafter as you go above it. So there are the thresholds. It depends where you come in, where you fit, and what relationship you have to either the donor or the person from whom you are lucky enough to be inheriting.
Lovely stuff. Thanks as always. I know we go through that from time to time, but we get lots of questions on it.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that one. Selling a site, what kind of tax does one need to pay to revenue? So someone's selling some land and they want to know what their tax implications might be.
That's where, and I'm saying this now straight up. I'm not a tax consultant, so I'm not proffering myself to be one. And I think that people, when they're in these situations, they are well advised sometimes to obtain some tax advice from an accountant or a tax expert. However, the law on it is this capital gains tax. That's another heading of taxation. If you're selling a property such as a site, as this caller is, they haven't said what they're selling it for. But the point is, it's the value at which they bought it at that's of interest. So I would have to know what they bought it at, and then what they are now securing for it, and the differential in between could give rise to a tax of 33%. They'd be entitled to offset against that any expenses they had. Let's say they developed the site, they put a road into it, and they resurfaced it in some way, and they upgraded the land. Well, they would all be deductible, and then whatever your net gain is would be taxable. And that, if it's seen to be, if you're lucky enough that there is a gain, it'll be taxable at 33%.
All right, very fine.
Take some advice.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, could you ask for an explanation of the rule of lapse in relation to wills and estates? Is that a simple one?
Well, there is, as far as rule of lapse, in my view, there is always a beneficiary or a party entitled. If there is not, and with regard to inheritances, and this has come up from time to time, then the state actually step into the shoes of what would be a beneficiary. So, in other words, if you cannot ascertain who a next of kin is, if there are no next of kin at all, well, the ultimate successor is the Republic of Ireland.
Okay, Seamus, enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time as always. Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gun and Company, Remote and Letterkenny, and online, Seamus.
Yes, we're still online, Greg, at gun.ie or donegalsolicitors.ie. And a big shout out here. We're on the banks of the sunny Lennon for the weekend festival. So anybody that's out and about in a loose end, get themselves down to the Lennon.
Who are you looking forward to seeing, Seamus?
Well, I think there's only one real big band coming, and that's, you know who they are. And I was living next door to her once.
Okay, right. Take care. Thank you very much indeed. 08660 25,000 is our WhatsApp number, 08660 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And don't forget, you can email as well. You can email the programme on comments@highlandradio.com. Shall we come back after the break with a piece of music? Living next door to Alice? Stay where you are.
Dunfanaghy Golf Club on the Wild Atlantic Way. Open week starts the 14th of July through to Sunday the 24th of July 2022. 3-ball better ball, open ladies and gents stroke in Stableford, and the popular 4-ball better ball and classic. Just some of the daily competitions you can enjoy. Hit the fairways, enjoy the crack, then sample the fabulous food served daily at the 19th Hole Bar and Grill. To book, call 07491363335 or visit dunfanagygolfclub.com.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
At Creaseless Supermarket, we are renowned for offering quality and value for all your convenience needs. We have expanded and are now offering a full on-post service. Pay a bill, send a package or lodge into a bank account. Our on-post service is available Monday to Saturday. Creaseless Supermarket, we're here for you.
One of the largest employers in the Northwest, TCS, is recruiting 200 new staff at all levels, from recent graduates to experienced professionals in business, tech, design and customer service. If you'd like to hear more, then why not call down to their Global Delivery Centre in Letterkenny for a chat with their staff on Thursday the 14th of July between 6 and 8 p.m. Registration is optional at openevening.tcscareers.ie.
Quick, write this number down. 91 48 234. Fleming Doors, you know. Industrial doors, garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day from 12 to 6. Fantastic for family day trips. Excellent value for birthday party packages. For a wonderful family experience this weekend, check out leisurelandredcastle.ie.
Okay, for those of you going to the Lennon Festival, Okay, there is, that was Smokey and Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me. Let's get to some of your comments whilst we have time, and you took the great effort to get them into us. It's very much appreciated. Greg, I'll come back to that one in a second. Another caller asks, does anyone know the proper price of coal? I've been hearing different prices. My coal went up €15 bag, but another person's went up €6. How can the difference be so big? I can't get over the price increase and variations. Well, I don't buy a lot of coal. I used to, when it was less expensive, pick up the small bag at a filling station. I know a lot of people might think that that's not maybe the most cost-effective way of doing it. I don't know, but that's what I used to do. So I don't know. Most people buy the bigger bags, don't they? Is there different grades of coal? Obviously, there's different types of coal. Anyone out there, I know someone out there has put the time in and been investigating the coal situation because it's such a huge cost that we're going to see increase, especially heading into the winter, unless something drastically changes. And listening to Vladimir Putin yesterday, he said to the West, you think you can beat us on the battlefield? Well, bring it on. He said yesterday that, and it could have been just saber rattling, he said that their action in Ukraine hasn't even started yet, that this special military operation, as they describe it, is just the start. Right, anyway, but back to coal. Anyone understand what the situation with coal is? Is there different coal from different areas going up different prices? I've heard €50 a bag. That's the way it's heading. Is that right across the board? Okay. Right, a caller says, we have politicians tied to reality. That's what the country needs, not yes men and women who don't follow through. A government is business, so a business mind is needed, they believe. Greg, what I can't understand is the people put this government into power. Why can't the people not have a vote of no confidence in this government and get them out of power? Every government should be changed at the end of their term and replaced by another party. This way, every party will be kept on their toes. Of course, you only have to look at how power has been distributed over the last 100 years to see that that's not really the case. I got a scam text from the HSC. There was a link you could click. It said there was a €2 charge for antigen tests. With the rising cases, it's very easy to get caught. Please don't. On post too, obviously neither the HSC nor on post are sending these messages out. These are scammers that are exploiting our trust, perhaps, of the HSC. Or on post, or we're waiting on a parcel or antigen tests or whatever it might be. You know, the URL is always a really good indication. Firstly, the HSC will never seek any money from you via text. And also the on post, it normally is like on post -charges-.co or something. You know, it's not a legitimate link, and just delete, avoid if possible. Greg, my husband and I both got text messages from the HSE yesterday telling us we're due our second booster and to book it an appointment. We have already got it 2 months ago. There's supposed to be 50% not boosted. But if this sort of thing is happening, is that a true figure? Thank you. A very good point. If they're so wide of the mark in your house, how accurate is the percentage of those who have been second boosted? That's a good question. Another caller says the very tragic Micah vote this week means that Donegal needs to think about a future as an autonomous republic, totally independent of Dublin. When you destroy hope, you need to take a few giant steps outside your comfort zone and then take action. Yeah, I don't know how we would fund that, and I understand where that comment is coming from, but we are a very small population in this county, 166,000. And if you think of all of the tax we could muster from everyone in this county, it probably wouldn't be enough to maintain our roads, let alone invest in a hospital that really is there to cater for, relatively small amount of people if you take out those who use Sligo in the south of the county and so on and so forth. I don't think we would be able to sustain ourselves unless we discover oil, gold or diamonds or something. Right, okay, it is time for us to take a break and then it is an update from the newsroom. Stay right where you are.
The wait is over. Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, plays Lennon Festival Ramelton on the 9th of July. Hear Chris and his band playing all the hits. Oh Carol, Mexican Girl, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, Alice, plus many more hits. Tickets on sale from universe.com and local outlets. For full details, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook. That's Chris Norman and his band, presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainment.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Hegarty's Auto Body Repairs in Letterkenny have been keeping cars on the road across the northwest for the past 50 years. Hegarty's are the only Ford-approved body shop in the northwest, but repair all makes and models. Paintless dent removal, windscreen replacement and restoration work. Hegarty's even mix their own paint. Approved by most insurance companies and certified Steel Standards Ireland. That's Hegarty's Auto Body, Letterkenny. For all vehicle repairs. See Hegartys.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €230 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Summer Black Tag sale at Curry's. Save €120 on the Samsung 65-inch Smart 4K TV, now $729. And get the HP 14-inch laptop with Intel Core i3, now $519. Save €150. Get in-store or online at currys.ie.
Okay, you are tuned to your number one local radio station. This is Highland Radio. We're going to relax and talk all things entertainment for the next hour. So stay right where you are. Get involved in the conversation. But first, let's get a news update. And it's good morning to Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A community worker in the Milford area has said he is interested in becoming involved in politics, but not with an established party. Declan Meehan, manager of the Milford and District Resource Centre, is a regular commentator and was speaking on this morning's 9 till noon show. He recently met with Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, leading to speculation that he may be targeted by Fine Gael as a candidate to replace outgoing Deputy Joe McHugh. However, he told Greg Hughes that while he has spoken to several people, he sees himself as an independent. Sinn Féin has denied claims that it's wasting the Dáil's time by tabling a motion of no confidence in the government next week. Party leader Mary Lou MacDonald says the government has lost its parliamentary majority and has failed to tackle the cost of living and housing crises. The Minister for Transport has been challenged over recent cancellations on the Donegal Town to Dublin bus route. Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle told the Dáil that cancellations have become far too frequent. He says this level of disruption wouldn't be tolerated anywhere else in the country. The number of individuals and organisations being targeted by the Criminal Assets Bureau in Donegal has fallen substantially. The Bureau's latest annual report shows 28 targets in Donegal at the end of last year, down from 48 at the end of 2020. That's a drop of almost 42%. The government's considering banning the sale of turf online. Draft proposals on restricting the selling of turf will be brought by the Green Party leader Eamon Ryan next week. One of the planned measures would see a ban on ads being placed on websites, social media and in newspapers. And finally, a new code of conduct to help campers enjoy their visit to Donegal this summer, while at the same time protecting the county, has been launched today. The new code asks visitors to plan ahead and to be mindful of their surroundings as they travel through the county. The full report is available on our website at highlandradio.com. That's all for now. We'll be back with news again at 12 noon.
Okay, Emma, thank you very much indeed.
Can I get 2 specials, please? 1 sourdough and Caesar salad. And by the way, I'm 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, Chef. We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in, get vaccinated, and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSC. For us all.
And a very good morning to Michael Leddy. Hiya, Michael.
Hello, Greg Hughes.
Great to have you on. Mike working first time. I feel like I'm making progress. And also, Fanula Rabbit. Hi, Fanula.
Hi, how are you?
How was your weeks?
Great.
Good, very good. And now we've a little bit of warmth and everything. Looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah. Other
the
than
neighbours
Tuesday?
are going to see a lot of me.
Is there any houses to rent locally in case anyone wants to quickly get in there and not miss the show? Okay.
They won't mind missing the show. I apologise in advance to my neighbours.
No, come here. Yeah, except Tuesday. Might be a bit of rain on Tuesday, but it's looking good for the rest of this week.
Yahoo.
Okay, so we'll see how we get on with that. I see both of you mentioning the cinema, but different films. Has something happened with your friendship?
No, we were at the same film. We were at the same film, but I also was down in Galway, so I had all my nephews and nieces, so I went to see it.
So you went to see Minions?
Yes, I went to see...
Was it any good?
It's a long pause.
Because it's a hard one to do. It wasn't as good as the ones in the past. I think you've kind of seen it now. Even the kids did enjoy it, but it didn't have that same kind of laugh out loud that they had with some of the earlier stuff, you know, when they're tripping over themselves, because there's only so much you can do with non-speaking short little yellow things.
They don't speak at all.
Well, they kind of speak. They
much.
kind of speak gobbledygook, and they speak a little bit, and every once in a while, then they throw in the odd word in any language. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the presentation of the night's on It's a theme.
It's a theme already. Yeah. But it was very nice now. The smaller ones really enjoyed it because they wouldn't have known it as much. But as they kind of got a bit older, that had seen some of the other ones.
Yeah.
And because obviously you've not just the Minions in this, but Gru and all that kind of thing. It's not half as good as the second.
Was there any young ones in Minion suits causing havoc at your cinema?
No.
That's been a
Was it you, Fanula?
No,
that's your view of
me.
it. What did the young ones with you think of it?
Oh, the younger they were, the more they liked it.
Ah, right, okay.
So my age group would like it.
Love it.
Okay, gotcha.
I had like a 5 and 6-year-old, and then I had 2 8-year-olds and a 10-year-old.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Oh, I love going to the cinema to see cartoon
Who bought
movies.
all the popcorn and stuff?
Oh, me.
I would have made sure they had the money with them.
No, oh God, no, yeah, no. I love going to the cinema.
Greg.
Well, it's you teach people early that if you want to have fun, you're going to have to contribute.
And if the 5-year-olds paper round is supposed to be getting the money, where's she going to get the money?
In the Friends game, you're Monica, where the fun is organised. To organise your fun.
I know. Plus,
Unlimited.
This particular 5-year-old is already going to take over the world. She's kind of a bit scary, so I'm not
I think
too
we've
sure.
spoken about her before. Actually.
Yeah, we put demands on her for cash. But no, the younger ones really enjoyed it. And if you're going to go and see it, I'd say aim it towards the younger ones. There's as they got older, they'd kind of seen it before. It's very much a repetitive of what was in the other movies and that. And there's not that much. Even with this, there's even a bit less of a story of it. So it was kind of just sort of.
So let's give us the. We'll ignore your opinion with respect. Give us the young ones ratings out of 10.
Oh, I'd say the littlest ones probably thought it was like about an 8.
Brilliant.
And it kind of went down then from there.
But there's enough there to get entertain adults as well if they're doing their thing.
That's kind of where they let down with some of the others. There was, the way a lot of these, and that's why I always like you grab a load of kids, and I'd say I'm always doing it. I'm kind of like the Pied
You'd
Piper.
be a very popular sister.
I'm sort of the Pied Piper when it comes to come to the cinema. I like to.
Brilliant.
I love the cinema and I like to bring the kids. But they've come out more excited about other ones in the past, as I said, because I've seen them before. But
okay, Minions 2, The Rise of Gru. That is Fanula's rating. She's nonplussed, but the young ones with her, 8 out of 10. Going downwards, and I presume 8 out of 10 from the youngest age groups going up. Isn't that it?
Yeah, 8 out of 10. Yeah, downwards as they get older.
All right. Okay. Now we were talking a little bit about the good weather, and hopefully, if you're lucky enough to do something nice, let us know what you're doing over the next week. If we do get this good weather that they're forecasting for us, perhaps won't be just quite as fantastic in the northwest as it might be in the southeast. But I want to know what you're doing. You know, we're heading into the weekend. Let's be happy as much as we can. 086 60 25,000 or call 074 91 25,000. You have not seen the Minions yet, and I suspect you won't.
No, you're absolutely correct.
So let's go to Thor then.
Yes.
Now, where are we in terms of standalone Thor films? This is brand new?
This is brand new. It's the 4th of the Thor movies, and it's the 8th time that Chris Hemsworth has played Thor when you count all the Avengers movies. It's, I suppose, a direct sequel to Ragnarok, which was the first really, really funny one of the Thor movies. And it's this. Oh yeah, it's an absolutely great film. And I think it suffers for some people by comparison to the fact that it came to a movie that was so different, and therefore because it's the same again, it can't be different because it's almost a remake of that one. I love this. Long list of things I liked. Christian Bale as the villain. Loved his performance and loved the villain himself. He was well set up. With the Marvel villains, they're often quite sympathetic in their origin story, and they've done that again here, so you can understand why he's doing what he does, and he does it very well. This is a visual movie. There's a big black and white sequence in the middle of it that I love. There's a big city of the gods in the middle that looks amazing. It really does look breathtaking. The fight scenes look amazing. The bad guy has these villains that are like spiders that come out of shadow, and it just looks really cool. It's a very funny movie. Chris Hemsworth is funny again. Some of the jokes in this are the exact same joke that were in Ragnarok. So, like, Matt Damon is back again doing exactly what he did the last time.
Very environmentally friendly, though. The recycling.
Recycling. So, again, you do see some of the same jokes. There are a couple of new jokes as well. And most of them hit the mark. I think they're fine. It's funny. Jane Foster, who was in the first couple of movies, that character returns. I liked her story arc. I thought it was very good. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know where it was going to go. I liked what they did with it. And there's only a couple of things I wouldn't have liked that much. I thought Tessa Thompson, who's in Westworld, she's in the movie a lot, but her character, unlike Ragnarok, doesn't really have much of an arc. You know, she's there, but there's no reason to have her there. And the hub of this is the love story between Thor and Jane, and I just wasn't feeling it. It's not the most important thing about a superhero movie, obviously, but it's not a romance that I was very deeply invested in.
Do we see any other characters that people might know from this world?
No. That's the short answer. No, it's
Guardians of the Galaxy are
Oh, sorry, the Guardians of the Galaxy pop. Thank you, Fanula. I was testing you, Fanula, to see if you were paying attention. Yeah, sorry, the Guardians of the Galaxy pop up at the start of this movie. They're not part of the main story though. So it's basically picking up Thor where he was with the Guardians, and then he sort of bids adieu to them.
So do you need then, because I think I caught some of that film, he was up in the spaceship with them or something.
Yes.
So do you need to see that to move on to this film?
Not necessarily. I mean, you need to know the Marvel Universe, and you probably will have seen those movies. I mean, most people have. But this is quite a self-contained story. I mean, it sets up the villain first, and then you meet these guys. If you didn't really know who the Guardians were, I don't think you'd be. I don't think you'd suffer too much. The basics are given to you. This is the villain. This guy is the hero. He's a bit goofy. This is his ex-girlfriend. He's getting together with his ex, and it's a bit awkward. You could go in blind, but I think there's a very small percentage of people going in not knowing these details. Just you, Greg.
Fanula, have you seen this?
Yes, we went to
we saw it together.
Now, you are a big fan.
I know.
Of Thor.
I actually passed out a little bit with excitement just thinking about this movie.
You were so
for
giddy.
the last couple of months. It's
was
just been
adorable. She was so
and
cute.
I don't know what I think I aim too high for it.
Oh no.
Thor Ragnarok is probably the greatest comic book movie that's ever been made, particularly in this big series.
Yes.
I mean, it would 100% rank top of the. I think this is the 27th movie out of the.
We were discussing this.
We're still arguing over
counting this
how
yesterday.
many movies there's been. I've sit down and write them down. But this is like the 27th, 28th movie out of all of the, from the beginning of this. And Thor Ragnarok is so good. And I'm not even going to. You're better at me pronouncing the director's name. What's his name?
Oh, Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I can never say it. He just brought something unbelievable.
Well, we don't really know if he can say it either. He's just saying it. He just says it with such confidence.
I know.
That
It does sound right.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it does sound
Could be something
right.
completely
I
different.
know, it does
Pull at that thread, because everything will unravel that I say every week if you start that kind of thing.
It does sound right when he says it. And I just feel I'm totally in the wrong with it. But he did Thor Ragnarok, and then he's doing this as well. And he's just he just did such an amazing job of it, because it just really walked the line perfectly for bringing in the kind of self-depreciation and the humor and that kind of thing. It's just this. I felt he leaned a little bit too much into the comedy.
Yeah.
And it kind of lost something in the way, like Mike was saying, you sort of lost something in the love story, and I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
Because it just got so much into the trying to be funny that you sort of lost the different things. Now it's not that it's not funny. It's just, I think for me, I just had it built up in my
Your
head.
expectations were so high.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go and see it again. And I definitely enjoyed the story of it or whatever. But after seeing it the first time, it wouldn't be in my top 5 of the 28 movies or whatever that you've seen. But it is good. It does bring the story forward. It opened up a lot of new things then in the end. Because as you know, with the comic book movies, you get your 2 kind of usually hints of what might be coming down the way, and that was interesting. There is,
and even before the end credits, there's big changes for the franchise. Like, there's a huge
there's
change.
lots of different things that are coming
Because
along.
there will be another Thor film, and it'll be very different.
Oh God, yeah, and there's a new villain / hero about to come into the MC universe that sort of pops up.
But you know him from comics already.
I do, yeah. I know him, yeah. But he only appears at the very, 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 very end. But it's so cool, and the casting is. We were both. Is it Squee?
I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this movie, and then it came up and I went, oh no, I like it now.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
It was that good of a kind of a look into the future. It's very good. I highly recommend people go and see it. It's definitely a cinema movie because that is what they do.
The sound, the visual.
Exactly.
The
whole thing about it is the characters in it have all the kind of good, one-liners and that kind of thing that you'd come to like and love. I think I just shot myself in the foot by being a little bit too excited.
And I would
about
say
it.
to people, don't expect the same impact as Ragnarok, because Ragnarok came out of nowhere. We hadn't seen a comedic Thor movie. Now we have a second comedic Thor movie, so naturally.
Do you think though when you introduce comedy, then the comedy has to be good? It sounds to me like either the jokes aren't funny, that's the problem, or they're rehashed.
No, it's not that. It's just that there's the way. For me, there was just too much of it.
Okay.
And they just took, instead of, and you know what I mean, as in the kind of comic book story and that sort of thing is supposed to be the 60% of it. Then you have the 20% is kind of the over top fighting and all that kind of stuff that's going on with it. And then there'd be about 20%. That's kind of the way the Ragnarok sort of worked out. Whereas in this, he seemed to have leaned way too much into the
comedy in every scene.
Yeah,
every
into
scene
the
is
one-liner
funny,
thing.
But
and the love story ended up being more about a love story between Thor and his hammer than it did between. There was little things like that.
That was very well done.
Metaphor in there somewhere.
I know, yeah, but that was in the first. But no, that was very funny. They really did that.
No, it was. That's what I'm saying. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it in the sense that it's still a really good movie.
I think this probably is your big post what we've all been through movie, as well as the one that went before it, and just your
this is the difficult second album. It's the sequel. Imagine it is a sequel to a film. It's like the start of it's the middle of a trilogy that I think this director will do, and I think that's the thing. It's just like Rocky 2, it's like Rambo 2, it's like all these things where Aliens, which of course was the one that circumvented it by being probably better. Although that's an argument. It's. I just think if you can clear your mind of Ragnarok, you'll enjoy this more. That's my advice to anyone going to see it. And I think it's.
Right, okay. Yeah. Well, listen, it's a thumbs up. It's 2 thumbs up.
Oh God, 100%.
I think the only thing it didn't match maybe is your expectations.
I do think I sort of set myself up for a fall, which people
you were very excited.
Yeah,
you were.
Oh God,
you were very excited.
I literally was. Feeling faint every time I thought about
Your marks out of 10 then,
I'll
Michael.
give it a solid 9. It's got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. 2 out of 3 critics like it. I think, and I would put it just behind. I still think Doctor Strange and Spider-Man are the best of the 2 of the recent 6 films. So I'd probably put it at number 3 in the new.
I have a feeling that 69 might edge up.
Yeah, it's ahead
on
of
second viewings and stuff.
I'm going back to
people
see it as
reflect.
well. Yeah. I'm. It's ahead of Eternals. It's ahead of Shang-Chi.
Oh God,
it's ahead of
it's ahead of Eternals.
Okay. So out of 10,
it's usually getting about 3 stars at the moment, from what I can see in the reviews, and that's probably where I would put it. So I'd be putting it around a 7 or so.
8 is it has 3 stars. Is 8? Is it no? 6 out of 10. 8.
3. It'd be 6. 3.
Okay.
3 out of 5 would be 6 out of 10.
That's where I would kind of land with it as
6
well.
6 out of 10 is bad. Are you sure
you
don't want
to?
Are you sure you don't want to push it up to 7.5? Because I'm hearing 7.5, but you're saying 6.
I know.
And you were laughing.
If under any circumstances that it makes any difference to the viewing people out there, and if it would stop them or not stop them, make them go and see it, I will say 7.5.
No, it's six, though.
It is. No, it's very good. And plus, you definitely need to see it.
Very good.
It's marvelous.
How long? Very good's not 6.
It's not. I agree. No. He's right.
And I'm not. I don't want to tell you what.
Then it was good.
So in other words, you're not going to move the 6, so you'll move the
I'm
words.
just trying to be nice about it. Like I just didn't come out of it. Like I've walked out of certain movies, Marvel movies, over the years, and different things, like a couple of the Iron Mans, different things like that, and you're just like, oh my god.
I enjoyed all the Iron Mans.
Yeah.
Iron Mans.
And you just walk, and you're just like, oh my god, that was just really good.
So yes. Saying,
and I just didn't walk out of this. I kind of walked out a bit more, sort of feeling that little.
Did you see the Minions before or after this?
Oh, before.
See, I think there could be something going on there.
No. The before is that I saw the Minions at the weekend. I only saw this yesterday.
All right.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday. We were there for
I'm
the
going to
first
go and see it again.
screening.
Yes,
yeah, I'm going to see it again. Of course.
I want to say a quick hello to Anne-Marie McElhenney. We're finally coming to the Correndona for the first time in 3 years. I spoke to you, Greg, in the summer of 2020 when we had to cancel our visit due to COVID. I remember that, Anne-Marie. Who would have thought at that time it'd be another 2 years before we could holiday in Inishowen? And I seem to recall, Anne-Marie, if I'm the correct, that you have a very, very close connection to the place. It might have been a last-minute cancellation as well, but I spoke to a lot of people at that time. But I think I'm right. But listen, it's great to have you back home again. Right, it is the 9 till noon show. It's That's Entertainment with Michael and Fanula. Loads more to come on the programme after we take this break.
Irish sun doesn't really count, right?
Look, we all deserve a bit of sun.
Skin cancer is the most common cancer in Ireland, so whether you're at home or abroad, protect your skin by following these sun smart steps. Slip into long loose clothes, slop on the sunscreen, slap on a sun hat, seek shade. Yeah, even on the cloudy days. Oh, and slide on the sunglasses.
I do have very funky sunglasses.
And I do love this hat.
Be sun smart from the HSE and Healthy Ireland.
Build a better future with a digital transformation course. With digital transformation courses from Advanced Centre, you can improve the way we work together and do business. The power behind 3 of Ireland's leading universities, UCD, ATU Sligo and TU Dublin, have combined to offer flexible, accredited digital transformation courses, from individual modules to full programmes. Starting in September, your future is enrolling now. See advancedcentre.ie.
Dogs, cats, rabbits, birds and fish. Some of the popular home pets that need care and attention every day. At Gary's Pet World, our fully trained staff are here to help you and your pets. We offer great advice and value on all foods, accessories, grooming and care products, with incredible offers on all leading brands. Shop in store at Gary's Pet World, Letterkenny Retail Park, open 7 days per week, or browse and buy 24/7 at petworld.ie.
Farmers at Teagasc Beef Open Day told they could treble their income. Find out how inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Also, McConnell squares up to Ryan as battle to protect sector from cattle herd cuts intensifies. We've top tips for boosting fodder reserves and saving in fertiliser. Fears over ration prices for next winter ease. And we report in the first of the autumn wheeling sales.
Plus, don't miss your free guide to next week's Farm Machinery Show. Inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €230 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. We welcome on to it Diane. Hiya, Diane. How are you keeping?
I'm good, Greg. Thank you very much. How are you?
It's good to have you with us. You are the founder of Donegal Music Trails and a session and sale event coming up. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, it's a little collaboration I have with a friend of mine who I actually met when I was doing gigs at the Celtic Connections in Glasgow just before COVID. And someone put him in contact with me because he does something similar around the coast of Scotland. And he decided that he would do a trip to Donegal, and just with myself and himself, we've just organised next week that he's touring around Donegal and going to different spots, and we'll be doing music sessions and taking in the local scenery and culture and all of that. So,
how many musicians are there? Where are they from? And did they actually sail here?
They did. They sailed into Rathmullen just 2 days ago. And they're just they're exploring Donegal now on foot at the moment. So they're all from Scotland. They're all musicians. So there's about 18 on board, And next week then they'll be starting the sailing.
And will they be performing, or like is it a busman's holiday, so to speak, or are they just here as tourists?
They are just here as tourists. They're all musicians, but they're not professional musicians by any means. They're just a few people who love to play music. There's a few now that don't have any musical experience, and they're just there to, sing a few songs or just enjoy the tour mainly.
Exactly. Musicians very rarely stay quiet for too long.
Absolutely, yes. Any excuse for a bit of noise, I think, and they're in the right place for that.
All right, where are they? They're in Rathwell at the moment, heading to Downings then on Monday, and then what's happening?
Yes, on Monday we're in Downings, and there'll be workshops. We're going to do musical workshops every day. We have the likes of Mairead Whitty, Amanda Scully, and a few other musicians that are going to do workshops with them during the week. And then we'll have sessions with local musicians afterwards. And then I am doing part of the tour around Melmore Head and to the Murderhole Beach, just that Sunset and Prosecco tour on Monday evening in Downings. And Tuesday then we head to Tory Island, and it's pretty much the same schedule. We do a bit of workshops and sessions then later on. Wednesday in Arranmore Island, and we'll be in Early's Bammer on Wednesday. And then Thursday we come back to Maharoti, and we're going to go to Inishbofin for the evening. So, and then Tory Island obviously will be in the hotel there for a session. That's on Tuesday as well. So, yeah, a good lineup, and anybody who wants to join is more than welcome to.
Lovely stuff. Well done. They're going to have a great time, and it's good too that they get access to some of our best musicians and venues.
Yes,
they're getting the full treatment there. Well done, Diane. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Good to chat to you. Right, okay, that was Diane there. Right, so you were talking about Murder in the Alps, Michael. This is one of those ones that you flagged it, and I went to start it, and I think there was just too much going on. Too much going on in the house, and I'm just going to have to revisit it at another stage.
I would say, yeah. I mean,
or shall I avoid it?
No, I loved it. I mean, and I'm not. It's you guys have got me into these documentaries, these true crime documentaries.
It's our fault.
It's your fault. But these 3 episodes that Channel 4 put out about 2 weeks ago, they're on all 4 now. You can watch them. I watched them this week, all of them. It's a very well documentary. That goes without saying. I mean, there's a template there, and they all kind of have the same sort of feel to them. But it's a fascinating story. I mean, there was so many details I didn't realise. It's that incident that happened 10 years ago. A family from England of Iraqi extraction were on holiday, and they were killed in the Alps in a very remote spot. And a cyclist was also shot and killed as well. And 2 young girls managed to escape. And it's unsolved to this day, and by all accounts will probably always remain unsolved. But when you delve into the details of it, and what this documentary does is, the main people involved are the English detective who came onto the story 8 months late, and he did his best to shape the investigation, but he was coming very late into it. The French prosecutor who did shape the investigation. You have a Daily Mirror journalist who looks exactly like what you would imagine a Daily Mirror journalist would look like. I can so imagine that guy.
I hardly wished on this one.
And the brother of the murdered man, who was a suspect for a while, he speaks a lot in it as well. A few other people as well as talking heads. There's some reconstruction, but the story is fascinating. I mean, nobody knows who was targeted. The man himself worked for a satellite company. The French maintained that he could be a spy, and that, it was a professional hit and so forth, and that the passports were taken from the family's caravan. But then a couple of years later, they found the passports in a jacket pocket that they had overlooked, which threw a lot.
So how much of this are they actually discussing useful information, and how much of it are they just sort of relying on, people on the internet speculating and presuming that there has to be a massive story behind every event, even something as tragic as this?
The first 2 episodes are the speculation part of it, which I think it's fair to say the French investigation is heavily criticised in this documentary, and heavily criticised by the English policeman. And it's mostly speculation and drawing worrisome conclusions from some of the facts. The 3rd episode is the best, because that's where the English detective really comes into the story, and he puts forward his theory, and his theory involved the fact that the cyclist was the target, not the family. And he is able to use physical evidence and a lot of other very common sense type deductions that I really liked. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm starting to like these documentaries. I like detectives. I mean, that's no surprise, I grew up watching. But I like this guy's mind. I like the way he works. And we get to see him at the crime scene. He revisits it and he actually talks through things, and you can see the wheels going around. And I love that. It's like the fictionalized Manhunt series that I love with Martin Clunes. And I like this idea of detectives that really do spend hours and hours doing unglamorous work, but they're digging to get to the truth. And you see a lot of that in the third episode.
I think Channel 5 made a similar documentary with a similar approach as it relates to the Madeleine McCann disappearance.
Okay, well, similar
where
sort of approach.
a detective kind of discredited the main suspect,
By just using a bit of
theory that he's the main
common
suspect,
sense, yeah.
but still open to.
But one more thing I will say before we move is that it could be the cyclist, it could be the husband, but the wife's story is fascinating. The woman who was in the car who was murdered that day, by all accounts, a very quiet, very shy lady who it turns out was led for many years a completely different life in America under a completely different name, and was married, had a completely different personality. On the day that she died in the French Alps, her husband, her former husband in America, also died. And there was big question marks over how he died.
All right, that sounds far more interesting, that element of the investigation. Okay, that is Murder in the Alps. It's available for you on the All4 app, which if you have a smart TV or Amazon Fire Stick or their Google offering, it should... Actually, I don't think it's on the Google offering. It's there for you anyway, or you can cast it if you've got a Chromecast, and we've talked before about how that's actually a really good app. Just wondering if any of you out there have watched Girl in the Picture, which just recently was released on Netflix. It just appeared, Fionnuala. I haven't seen it. I'll be honest with you. I watched the first 15 minutes and I had to pause 6 times, and I thought, you know what?
No,
I'm going to come back to this, because a documentary you do kind of really need to focus a bit more.
And it's an unusual documentary in the sense that it's a movie documentary.
Yeah, 1 hour and 27 minutes, I think.
Yeah, which is unusual for... No, and that's exactly it. It just popped up on mine as well, and I've been reading before it came up, and I was looking forward to watching it, but then when it came up as one thing, I was like, I don't really have the time to sit down and watch it yet, so it's my plan for the weekend.
Yeah,
it's an interesting story. It's again, similar type of thing. Person found dead on the side of the road, and then it's like the investigation into who this person is. There's a photo then of a little girl in it, and that's what intrigues people and starts looking down deep into it. It looks like it's very interesting. It's getting some really good reviews, so maybe we might get a chance over the weekend.
We should all agree to watch it now.
You
and
never
then next
do that.
And then next Friday,
in fairness,
none of us will have done that.
It's normally me that hasn't. And then I feel really...
it's normally the both of you, and I've slogged through it.
Right. No, I mean, for a lot of people, Steve Martin, obviously, he's a big Hollywood star, but they might feel he's disappeared to some extent. You know, if they haven't seen him in not Perot films, but...
yeah, you're right, Clouseau.
Is it Clouseau,
yeah,
right?
Clouseau, yeah, you're right.
And other stuff, and The Man with Two Brains, and all, you know, I mean, he was huge.
I'm the only one I think liked his Pink Panther films, but I did like them.
Pink Panther films, yeah.
I did like them.
Yeah. But he's into the second series of a show on Disney, Only Murders in the Building, Season 2. He's in it, Martin Short, Selena Gomez. You're watching this?
Yeah, no, I 100% am. I watched it the last time when it came out. There's only about 8 episodes of it, half-hour episodes. I think, now that I think about it, I might be wrong there, it might be 10. But you know me, I'm always looking for my half-hour thing. This could definitely be it, except that it's not...
half hour?
It is a half hour. It's just, it's not funny. It's not
well, that's a problem.
It's not you know what I mean? You go into this
serious
thinking...
issue.
Yeah, if you're looking for a half-hour comedy.
No, that's the whole thing, is I went in to watch this because I was like, Martin Short, Steve Martin, Martin Short. You're like, oh, this is going to be funny. That's what those guys are kind of, in my world anyways, are most known for. Steve Martin wrote this. He co-wrote it with another person. It's an idea that he'd been kind of kicking around for ages. It was supposed to be about just like some old guys living in a building. And then all of a sudden, obviously when they went to it, they wanted to bring in a younger element, and they dropped Selena Gomez into it. Now, it does have some little comic things in it, but actually it's quite a straight program.
Right.
Which is very unusual. But I think, it's like the thing I was watching last week. It's the premise that's kind of funny, rather than which is the same thing as the 10% that I was watching. It's not funny in itself; it's more the premise. This is about this Arcadia, is this beautiful building in New York. If you've ever been to New York, you've seen loads of them. You know the way it's the big old buildings that are in. There's like a doorman on the gate before you go into the foyer in order to go up to the building. And they're all of a sudden, last series was that this young man got murdered in the building. These three are all kind of loners living within the building with their own previous stories. But the one thing that they found that they have in common is that they listen to podcasts, and they decide that they will do a podcast on this murder that's happened in their own building. And that's what the first series was about. And it went all the way through that whole thing. So it's very, you're learning more about them. You're learning more about the actual murder and what's happening and the different people in their lives and that. And now the second series has set up, and it is very much like the first, and yet it's still absolutely enjoyable.
Right.
It's really good. There's just something really nice about the murder. Always kind of keeps you sort of intrigued. They have unbelievable guest stars that kind of pop up into it. Tina Fey pops up. She's a rival podcaster, and that she's one of the people that they're trying to get their story out ahead of. In last year's series, anybody that have seen it, Sting popped up. Turned out he had the penthouse, and for a while he was briefly the main suspect in this murder. So it's just all these different people.
And does Sting win a Sting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sting lives upstairs.
So it's kind of confusing, is because you've got the high profile sort of cameos. You've got the actors that are in there. It feels like a lot of stuff, obviously. Yeah, but it's not a comedy that misses the mark. It's literally set out as a drama.
It's
has a bit of comedy in it.
That's what it is, really. It's more just their kind of their sort of ineptitude as in what they're trying to do, because obviously they've no idea what they're doing.
And everyone can make a podcast.
Anybody can make. This is the whole thing. Anybody. And basically what it is you've got one guy who was an actor back in the day, and now he's old and the show is over and that kind of thing. That's the character that Steve Martin plays. Martin Short plays a guy who used to be like a Broadway producer, so everything is kind of over the top. And then Selena Gomez is kind of is like a disgruntled, not quite a teenager, but to me she's kind of very millennial, kind of an idea that she's in her early 20s but still has that teenage kind of a feel about her, still cranky and grumpy and that kind of thing. And she's probably the one that brings the comedy to it, because she's very sarcastic and that, and sort of what she says. But the whole thing about it is that it's not supposed to be funny as such. It's more just the premise and the situations they find them in. Plus, Disney's got some fantastic shows on now at the moment anyways. I think it's a really good platform.
Disney.
Yeah. Some people don't go near it because they think it's for kids, or they think that it's only for
how do you find the menu
kids
system
or
on
comic
it?
book. Oh yeah, that can be
It's
a
wee bit clunky,
you have to dig
isn't
a bit.
it?
Yeah, you have to dig a bit.
And it's not there. It doesn't. I don't find it pushes stuff for me that I like. And then it feels like if you just switched on, you go, wow, this is just full of old Bruce Willis films and 3 out of 10ers. Or if you like, the comic book films, you're sorted there. You have to really sort of root into it to find, I think anyway.
Well, no, because it doesn't seem to have like a Netflix algorithm, so it's not popping up you may like because you watched, that kind of way. Like I'm watching a sci-fi series, The Orville, which is moved from Fox onto Disney now, thanks be to God, because it is awesome. Awesome. It's on like its fourth. Is this his fourth?
This is third season. Third season. Yeah, but it's been on there like 6 years because there's been so many years.
Chops and changed that, but it finally it was on Fox, and then when Fox collapsed, we thought it was the end, but it's on this now. But like after that, watching a sci-fi thing that's sort of loosely based on Star Trek, it then said, "Oh, you may like Only Murders in the Building." I was like, "There's absolutely no connection."
Have you only got 2 shows?
But if you go into it, there's a different. You have to kind of go into the different boxes that are on the top, and you'll find there's a lot of good stuff. And I mean, you think about it, they did Tommy and Pam. They've done the Pistols. About the Sex Pistols.
Right. And Tommy and Pam's actually quite a good show.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff that's on it, but you do have to kind of give it a bit of a dig. Okay. Watching House on it again from the beginning. Imagine it's 10 years since House finished. Love that show.
Love it.
Right. What would you give Only Murders in the Building season 2 on Disney?
Oh, I have to say, amazingly enough, I would have given it about an 8 or 9 last year. Really enjoyed it, and I would give it an 8 or 9 this year as well. Which is, you would think that type of a thing, if they're doing the exact same thing again, how. It's unusual for a premise to be able to be repeated and still be equally as entertaining, and yet this is
completely.
And how it's half-hour episodes? How many?
The half hour, it drops. This is week 2, and what it does is it drops 2 to start, and then it's 1 per week every Tuesday.
Brilliant. Okay, brilliant stuff all together. Going to take a quick break, then we're going to have a quick chat with, Neil Delamere. He is coming to On Green On very, very soon. You'll find out why in a moment.
In 2018, Toyota cut through the confusion, completely ceasing production of diesel passenger cars, lowering harmful emissions and providing certainty for Irish drivers everywhere. And Kelly's Toyota are proud to be part of that hybrid electric journey. Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles today to see what makes Toyota Ireland's best-selling car brand in 2021 and 2022. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world. Best-selling claim based on most recent monthly figures.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgee's.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgee's.ie.
Ceol na Cuille Summer School and Trad Camp will take place in College Alley, Letterkenny, Monday the 11th to Friday the 15th of July. Masterclasses with some of Ireland's top trad artists, including accordion, fiddle, flute, banjo and more. Children and adults are welcome. Trad Camp for kids with introduction to music 5 years and over. For more, visit ceolnacuille.ie.
The wait is over. Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, plays Lennon Festival Ramelton on the 9th of July. Hear Chris and his band playing all the hits: Oh Carol, Mexican Girl, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, Alice, plus many more hits. Tickets on sale from universe.com and local outlets. For full details, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook. That's Chris Norman and his band, presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Delighted to welcome on to it Neil Delamere, who will be appearing in On Green On very shortly. Neil, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I am good. It's good to have you on. How are you keeping, Neil? How's life?
Very good. I listened to your last ad there, which I thought I was hoping was a tribute to me. It was a celebrity mastermind ad, and I actually happened to do that on Monday.
That's
so
right. Isn't that a quite coincidence?
Busy. That is a strange coincidence, yeah. I actually did, weirdly, I wanted to do Reg Hugh O'Donnell. They ask you what's your specialist subject is. And I wanted to do Reg Hugh O'Donnell because I did a documentary on Reg Hugh O'Donnell. And I also thought, well, it's a really interesting story, and maybe there might not be too many sources, so you can kind of narrow your field. But they went for Vikings instead, so I did Vikings on Monday, and it was great crack. Very intimidating now, very intimidating to sit in the black chair, but not quite as intimidating as Dancing with the Stars, because you've a bit more control over things when you've kind of studied for it. So
yeah, and I think that black chair, that whole setup was originally borrowed from sort of interrogation techniques, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Stasi were asking me questions, and there was a dog barking at me, and then they were asking me to do it in reverse. I think that was In the Lives of Others, wasn't it? But it was great fun, I have to say.
And the Vikings TV show was your specialised subject, was it?
No, the Vikings. Like an idiot, Greg. I picked 300 years of history.
I was going to say, can you tell us how you get on? Has it aired yet?
It hasn't aired yet. No, it was just done there last Monday. So it's going to air in November or December. So
did you make a show of yourself? So I'll ask that way.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Do you think I'd mention it to you if I'd made a show of myself? That's all I'm going to say.
All right, well done. Okay, and you between Mastermind, Countdown. You were on Countdown. What's that like as a sort of live in studio, a studio experience?
Yeah, I got the chance to do my mate Colin Murray was doing the stand-in for I think 17 or 18 weeks.
I'm surprised Colin Murray has the time. He is literally everywhere, Colin Murray, at the moment. Like, you switch on himself 5-5, he's on in the afternoon, then he's up all night or on in the evening, and then he's doing football somewhere else. I mean, there must be 2 or 3 of him.
Yeah, he's actually like Saddam Hussein. There's about 47 Colin Murrays, and he just sends them out on doubles. Or he's like Riverdance. There's 5 touring Colin Murrays at any one time, and he's going out making a fortune for the central Colin Murray. And he was doing it because Anne Robinson stopped down, and we're good mates. We've done lots of radio together on 5 Live, and he said, "You want to do Dictionary Corner?" And I was like, "Dictionary Corner is proper bucket list stuff." You know, I used to watch it with my mum when I was coming home from school, so I absolutely said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." And Susie Dent has been on it for 30 years and looks the exact same. It was remarkable.
It's unbelievable.
And I think people know this. Like, if you're sitting there and you're as a person in Dictionary Corner, and your job is to kind of come up with words maybe the contestants don't get, and sometimes you do, and then sometimes you stare at the letters and you're just like, Jesus, there's nothing here. And there was a point I looked down and there was nothing there, and Susie Dent, I was telling somebody this, Susie Dent will then give you a word, you know, if you're stuck, and she said, just say etalons. And I was like, what? She goes, etalons, it's a physics term. I was like, no one is going to believe that I know the word etalons, and I can't define it either. But I also thought she said etalon, which is the Irish word for aeroplane. And I was like, what is she talking about? What's she using as a fodder here? I have no idea. And she just gave me then a different word that people, I can't remember what the word was that people would actually believe you might get, but I said it was Susie gave.
Yeah, I'd be like, I've got 5 4-letter words for you, which wouldn't really cut it.
Yeah.
I think, the nighttime version of Countdown was the best thing ever happened to her as well, because we got to learn so much more about her, do you know what I mean, and more of her personality and her sense of humour. I think that did her no end of good.
Yeah, she's a really lovely human, and you can tell that she's very interested in what she's doing. She entertains idiots like me talking to her about Hiberno English and how we speak English versus how they speak English, and certain words that we use that they don't use, and you can see that sort of enthusiasm for her job comes across on TV. I always think audiences, TV and live, are very intuitive, and they know if you're phoning it in, and she wouldn't have lasted this long if she wasn't both knowledgeable and enthused about the subject.
Right, your show is in On Green On. It's coming up in On Green On. It's been well received by the critics. I don't know if you are interested in what the critics have to say, or is it the audience that maybe you are more interested in impressing? But tell us about the show on July 14th in On Green On, Neil.
Yeah, I did On Green On in February, and I try and do it every February, and it was the first full house, I think, in 2.5 or 3 years. They were saying there because of COVID, so it was just lovely to be back. And we said, why not? We'll do it again. It's about kind of what's gone on in the last year. It's some of it's about a little bit about COVID because it's the elephant in the room. But then I did Dancing with the Stars, which is just such a bizarre experience. So we'll talk about that. I don't know if you've ever been fake tanned, Greg. Have you?
Yeah, can I take the fifth on that one? I'll be honest with you. I will be honest with you. I haven't been fake tanned, but I bought moisturiser, Dove moisturiser, about 8 years ago, and I didn't realise it had a hint of tan in it. And then one day at work, someone finally said, that fake tan smudged all over your head. I'd been using it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and no one had said anything, and I hadn't really noticed. So that's my only experience. That's my only experience with fake tan.
Greg's looking much more healthy. He's looking very. Have you been abroad somewhere? You look fantastic.
It wasn't that natural looking. So I've got a picture of you now in a booth in your tighty whities getting spray tanned.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, it gets weirder than that. So they did that for the photographs, and then one of the shows, I was like, I got to go to a show in Limerick, and they said, well, we have to fake tan you, and I said, I don't have time. And I said, okay, only my top half is kind of on show. Just do the top. And they went, all right. So they fake tanned half of me. Basically, I was completely brown from the waist up and completely white from the waist up. I looked like cigarettes. I looked like 20 Benson and Hedges. That's what I looked like. And I was fully convinced I was going to have an accident on the way to the car, on the way to the gig. And I'd be cheered limb from limb, and so would the other people. And then the emergency services would never be able to put me back together because they'd be like, well, those legs don't go with those arms anyway. I don't know what's going on there. There's several different people in the car. So there's such a bizarre experiences in that show that you have to kind of embrace with the blitz and the sequins and the tassels and everything else. Like, that's going to feature in the show. And I'll also talk about the end of it is I did Fittest Families as well. So myself and Sinead Quinlan, is a TV presenter, and Grania Grania Gallina from Donegal, she was on it as well, and the Happy Pair we're on it. So, I mean, if you can't get 10 minutes out of doing Celebrity Fit His Families with the Happy Pair, you shouldn't really be doing this. So they will certainly be fairly heavily mentioned towards the end of the show as well.
Brilliant. Okay, as you say, February was a sellout. And it's good now that performers like yourself, Neil, are booking gigs whereby it's not people carrying over tickets from cancelled gigs because of COVID, because we know people weren't turning up. And I know that, I'm sure maybe that didn't affect you, but for others it was a bit of a pain. Now we're getting genuine full houses again. If people want to get a ticket, as I say, February is a sellout. This will sell out, but get in quick. Get onto the box office at On Grianon. Neil, welcome back to Donegal when you do come back, and thanks so much for joining us today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you soon. Thanks,
Take care of yourself. All right, now we'll be back with more from Fionnuala and Michael after these.
The moment you got told the good news.
Rob, you made the panel.
When the lads added you into the group. Skipping nights out, missing the crack. Rewatching classics and learning new tricks. Being driven to the biggest game of your life by your mam. And then you finally come on in the 51st minute. It's the minor moments that last a lifetime. The Electric Ireland GAA Minor Championships. This is major.
The Birth Information and Tracing Act is now here. People adopted, boarded out, or the subject of an illegal birth registration can access their birth information where available from October. A contact preference register has been established to enable these people and those connected to them to register their preference in relation to future contact with relatives. This is an important issue for many, and an information booklet has been delivered to homes across Ireland. Visit birthinfo.ie to find out more.
For big name menswear at great prices, visit Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Top casual brands including Mishmash, Sixth Sense, Tommy Bow and Penguin. If you're going to a wedding or a big event, formal wear names include Rimassimo, Andre and White Label. Also a great selection of children's casual and formal wear in stock. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com.
Choose your local Centra for great offers this week. Like Centra Fresh Hour Strip Point Steak 360 gram, now €7. Coca-Cola 330ml 4-can pack, now €2.90. And until Sunday, Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc, now €9. Celebrate summer, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy, call sensibly.
Love to grab a bargain? Get in line. Grand Shoes Summer Sale is now on men's, women's and children's shoes and sandals. You'll love the deals on some of our top brands. Skechers, Riker, Clarks and many more. Pop in store to Lower Main Street, Buncrana, or online at grandshoes.com.
Okie doke. Now, just some of your messages coming in over the course of the hour. The truth about Pam. It was on last night on RTE. Really enjoyed it, but left me with loads of questions at the end. The Bridget Jones Diary Girl was the lead. The truth about Pam. I'm not familiar with that at all. Are either of you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sounds like a good cast, though.
Yeah.
What about Westworld Series 4? Wow or nay? You're a Westworld. Are you in?
I am finishing season 3 tonight.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
And then I'm starting season 4, then probably Sunday night. So I'm very excited, even though it's not as good as it was in season 1.
All right. Amazon heavily pushing The Terminal list. It stars Chris Pratt.
Yes.
Caller giving it 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I was very enthused about this, and then I read a lot of very negative reviews, and my enthusiasm evaporated. And that 6 out of 10, which we know from Fionnuala could mean good or bad or very good, or we don't know.
No, but that's what it's been getting across the way.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt always seems to be going into these action hero kind of things, and I'm not 100% sure he can pull it off. He's very good at comedy. He's very good. I mean, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it may be his most perfect role because he's funny. There's a little bit of action in it, but it's
it's not like a Mark Wahlberg character where he can sort of switch around a wee bit.
It's that kind of a thing in it. He doesn't necessarily have very strong acting chops, which Mark Wahlberg can be. And the Terminal seems to be like kind of a
Jack Ryan.
A Jack Ryan type of thing.
That's why I was interested, and I was like, but then I read the reviews and they were like...
But 6 out of 10 from our listeners, that's pretty solid when you look at Fionnuala's 6 out of 10 from earlier.
Yeah, I know, it's all over the...
Yeah, it's good, it's watchable. There you go.
Okay. What do you guys think of the revival of 80s rock music, asks a caller. Songs like Metallica's Master of Puppets racing up the charts due to Eddie Munson's solo at the end of Stranger Things, or the use of multiple Guns N' Roses songs in Thor, Love Thunder, all my kind of music. I think it's fantastic that the bands I love are being opened up to a whole new audience.
Absolutely.
And that's what music is.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
music spans generations if it's platformed. And
Yeah, I think the idea of people now discovering Kate Bush for the first time, and that's fantastic. Great. It's fantastic.
I would say filmmakers, TV series makers might be struggling now to sort of get music, I mean, outside of Ed Sheeran and Adele and a few others, and this, people will criticize me because they'll say, well, that's because of your lack of musical knowledge, but I'm on about maybe mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
I just, maybe there's a catalogue there that it's easier to dip in and get music from compared to what's out there now at the moment.
Possibly. Also, I think when you take well-known artists, I think you're bringing, there's a attachment when you attach, and the Guardians of the Galaxy's movies did this very well. He attached songs that were very popular to a certain generation, and then you bring that sensibility and emotional attachment to the film. So that works, I think, probably for Stranger Things, and it's working for all of these things.
Even Maverick, like, the way Maverick starts off with the not the Berlin song, the other song,
Danger Zone.
Yeah, and it starts off with that, and you're kind of just even you can just feel it wash over you in the cinema, and you're suddenly kind of transported back. And I think that's probably the thing. But I will never forget the day, because I had to put her out of the house for half an hour when my daughter came to me and was like really impressed by Britney's new song, "Can't Get No Satisfaction." And I was like, okay, leave.
Oh, right, yeah.
Leave,
okay,
leave.
yeah.
So I do like to think that they are finally learning where this original stuff came from, and where because a lot of stuff is repeated and mixed in through. Even now, when you listen to new stuff, you can hear bits and pieces of other older songs, or back in the 80s. Plus, the 80s was the greatest.
But you see, that's the thing. I think that's why I kind of back out of conversations on music, because I feel like maybe I'm actually have now become my father, if you know what I mean. But I think 100%. I listen to a lot of new music, and there's lots of different stuff in my playlists, and people might be quite surprised. I just think there's a gap there, like even in the 90s and early noughties, there was a lot of different artists producing different types of music. Some of it was electric, some of it was just, but a lot of it was like real music. But then again, I watched a lot of Glastonbury, and there was a lot of really good modern music, live music, and maybe it's just not getting platformed, or maybe it's not what's charting, and it is my ignorance. Maybe it is there, but it's just not for me because I'm not of that generation.
But I think it's also, when you think about it, when we were younger, the access to music was so different.
Oh,
because like you could turn over, like, I mean, you'd come in at home and you'd have, if your mother wasn't home, you'd have MTV on, and you'd just leave it on.
Yeah.
So then you heard music that wasn't necessarily what you were interested in, but that suddenly you engaged with.
And I used to video it. I'm sure lots of people
I
did.
did as well.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Yeah.
And you have to press play and record at the same time.
Exactly.
And
no,
then
I did as well. And MTV,
somebody-
and then MTV2 for years, because it was more rockier, and that really pulled me in for a few years. And I discovered, I think maybe I knew Placebo before, but there was a lot of things that I really got into because of that.
Yes.
And I was quite happy to sit there.
And I remember someone I knew was heading over to London, and I wanted to get them to get me an album, which wasn't available anywhere. I couldn't get it in Letterkenny. I was in Derry, couldn't get it. I was down in Dublin, couldn't get it. And I can't remember which one it was. But they got it for me when they were over in London, and they come back with that, and that was like I was given.
I said when my dad went to London, I told him I wanted level 42. Oh, I was so excited, and he arrived home with UB40. He remembered there was another.
Yeah, I would have made in fairness.
And I have to say, I have a real affection for UB40 ever since then, because I was like, oh well, I only had 3 albums or whatever, so you put them on and you played them all the time.
That's brilliant. Okay.
But it's like, I just think, I don't know where younger people are getting access to music that's outside what they're already interested in. Because even when you go into Spotify or different things like that, which is apparently where all these kids are going now, everything is the same. You know what I mean? You go into the playlist.
I kind of contradicted myself, because like Aaron, for instance, he's 16. He'll listen to anything from the 80s to drill to hip hop to So I think maybe we see the playlist, but they're digging deeper into it and discovering stuff, and we're just on the periphery. I don't know. Right,
We're
don't
old.
think. Well, you know what? I didn't want to use the O word, but I think
I know.
I'm admitting of that. That's why I don't want to talk. That's why I've talked about it, because it's kind of it's a reality check.
Oh God, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, well, I always say sometimes when I think of my age, I mean, think when my parents were my age now. What did I think of them?
Yeah.
And you try to put yourself, where was I when my mother was
I don't think that's a good...
But I like...
When you start pulling that
what
thread,
I
that's
do
not
like,
a
though,
good
is
thread.
playing a song in the car,
You're
right?
like, oh.
A song in the car that I like from time gone by, and you can see them IDing it on Snapchat, but they tried to not let on, you know, and then you hear it coming out of the bathroom a day later, and you feel like, yes.
Yes, victory.
Listen, enjoy the weekend.
Have a
Hopefully
good
the
weekend,
weather is
yeah.
pleasant. If
Aye.
you want to see more of Fluda than you normally do, get up. Where's your address again? Get up. No, I'm only joking.
I wondered where that was.
mentioned that.
really?
I was like, where's this
It's a
going?
joke. No, she says at the start. But have a great weekend. We'll see you all next Friday, all being well.
All being well.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to leave it. To all of you listening, thank you so much